This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Shotgun snap for the quarterback. Looks left. Fires down the left sideline, and it is a catch. A.D. Mitchell. There he goes. Inside the 30. Down the far sideline. 10. 5. Touchdown. A.D. Mitchell. His first career touchdown in the NFL. Hold on just a moment. The officials talking to one another at the goal line. The play happened furthest away from us as A.D. Mitchell had a great adjustment on the ball and then streaked down the far sideline. Made it in front of Emmanuel Forbes Jr.
He bobbled the ball at the end, Matt. He switched the ball in his hands right at the goal line. It looks like he may have fumbled it before he crossed the goal line, which would give the Rams the ball on the 20-yard line.
The ball was loose prior to crossing the goal line. It went in and out of the end zone. The result of the play is a touchback. First down Rams.
I mean, that's just like the Jonathan Taylor play last year in Denver.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
I mean, deja vu all over again. Mitchell made a tremendous catch off a great throw by Jones. He spins out of a tackler, and he fumbles it short.
Wow.
Couldn't really process it, kind of in the moment. I mean, really still can't process it, to be real. So I just gotta, everything is, the whole play happened, because of me. The only way I'm gonna be able to get forward is, just growing as a player, as a person.
It's hard to explain in that situation, but we got a lot of faith in AD, and this is a bump in the road for him, and he's going to bounce back. And we got a lot of confidence in his abilities.
It's Taylor the carry. Taylor finds a crease. Taylor spinning free. Taylor on the run with the speed down the sideline. Touchdown, Indianapolis. But there is a flag back at the 45. A second off the board with a holding call.
You always have to be ready with Jonathan Taylor because you never know when he's going to break a play. I mean, that is such an easy call. It's going to be right where the run is. I thought maybe it was going to be late in that run, and Adonai Mitchell was adjusting because he wasn't in position, but that was from the start.
Just trying to make a play.
Plenty of time for Stafford, throws downfield. He's got a man. Big play. 2-2 Atwell racing the other way. He's going to score. 20, 10, 5, touchdown. That's an 88-yard pass for a go-ahead score.
I mean, there's things we got to clean up, Like I said, when you playing a good team, playing in a big game can hurt yourself.
All those plays, times when you hurt yourself, self-inflicted stuff, turning the ball over, penalties, all that stuff is going to be magnified in a game against a good team.
I guess I'm the problem, and your mess never do no wrong if I'm so awful.
99 problems, and all of them were us yesterday as the Indianapolis Colts stumble their way to a 27-20 road loss against the Los Angeles Rams. They were playing they could compete at a high level, but couldn't get it done. Good morning, Kevin Bowen. I'm Jeff Rickard. And, of course, James Boyd is on an airplane coming back from Los Angeles. We may speak to him a little bit later on in the show, depending on how things work out. But Kevin Bowen, that one was hard to watch in the second half. It just was mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, and Mark did a great job of showcasing those. But can't win NFL games doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've said before, more often than not, I feel like the Colts are the smarter team. Yesterday, they were certainly the dumber team, and I would extend that to the sidelines as well. 10 men on the field on the 2-2 Atwell game-winning touchdown is beyond inexcusable. That's 10 men on the field coming out of a change of possession, not a chaotic, seventh play of a drive. Some guy got, he kind of cramping or something. He's hobbling off the field, and it's chaos on the sideline there. So stupidity with the A.D. Mitchell, which, honestly, I remember the Monday after the Jonathan Taylor play last year against Denver, Jeff, and I remember sitting in this very chair saying, what stunned me that Taylor did that is I would expect that from A.D. Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
I would expect that from his immaturity, from his track record. If anyone's out there at Grand Park, he celebrates a catch like it's, a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And lo and behold, we then see it in what should have been his first career touchdown. And everything in the A.D. Mitchell experience you saw in that 10-second play, the immense talent to make that play happen, and then the immense frustration in his actions trying to cross the goal line there. So, yeah, it really stings because, to your point, there's a lot of good against a really, really quality opponent from yesterday. You had opportunities there, and now Regroup again, 3-1 at the end of the first quarter of the season. There's a lot to like, but still that one stings because you felt like your own stupidity is really what led to the loss.
You were talking about the 10 men on the field coming after a break in play, not in a chaotic, confusing time. You know who did notice that the Colts only had 10 guys on the field? Matthew Stafford noticed that the Colts only had 10 guys on the field, and he seized on it immediately, and the Rams end up getting a 27-20 win when it looked like it kind of felt up until that moment like maybe the Colts were going to still find a way to pull this thing out. It felt that way to me. When they tied it at 20, I thought there's a 50-50 chance, a better than 50. I felt like they were still going to get it done, and it all went down the drain in about 14 seconds there.
Yeah, I thought kind of a weird letting off the gas happened after that Mike Hilton forced fumble.
Yeah.
And you had an opportunity to go up 2 scores. Mm-hmm. I thought Shane got really weirdly conservative there in settling for the field goal, and I thought that was a moment that you could step on them. If you stretch it to 2 scores there, now you make Sean McVay and the Rams abandon, normal game script. And it's probably a disservice 6 minutes into the show that we haven't mentioned the name, Xavier Howard. He needs to be benched. It's stunning to me that teams have not peppered him more with targets, and finally a competent quarterback and a competent head coach did that. He's been awful through the first 3 games, and yesterday certainly took the cake of that. So Lou Anarumo has got to put the past relationship with Xavier Howard to the side and realize that the back of the baseball card doesn't always apply in the NFL, certainly not to 32-year-old corners. And I get the Colts have some questions depth-wise there, but still, this is now clearly been an issue for this team. And that's the bigger picture issue. Like, A.D. Mitchell being stupid, you don't, A.D. Mitchell played 50-some snaps yesterday. When healthy, he's playing 10 for a reason. He's not going to be on the field that much to truly impact, whereas Xavier Howard is on the field that much to really, really impact you. So for me, Jeff, that's kind of the bigger storyline. It's your depth at corner, where you're at, and it's time to bench Xavier Howard.
Look, I want to go back to A.D. Mitchell too, because I know I stretch out my belief in him, and I did believe in him because I saw, he's so, as you pointed out, he's so talented. There's as much talent there as all but maybe the top 8 or 10 guys in the league in terms of just pure physical raw talent. But I don't know if he's ever going to be able to put it together, Kevin. I mean, you see some of the things that he does up close and personal, and you're like, guy's a monster. And I thought he's going to break through. He's had a lot of time to look at film. He's had a lot of time to spend with his coaches in the offseason. He's had a decent camp. He still was having some drop problems. So I thought sometime during this second season he's going to get it together. And I'm starting to wonder, is it there? Can he get it together? Is he going to get in his own way forever? Is that going to be the story of his career? Uber talented guy that just couldn't get out of his own way.
Yeah, and I guess to go back to your 80 catch comment, that why I thought the comment was so ridiculous is because you just can't trust him. And honestly, more than the drop at the goal line, go back and watch the holding penalty.
That was worse, I thought.
That was one of the worst fundamental plays you will see in attempting to. I don't even know what he was attempting to do. The corner's just sitting there. All you have to do is just engage a little bit, and all of a sudden it seems like he almost forgot that he was supposed to block that corner. It's like he overruns it, and then he's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that guy. Let me just reach back and yank him to the ground in the middle of the open field. When people ask, why isn't A.D. Mitchell playing more? Or, again, when you said 80 catches, I'm like, there's no chance in flying hell the Colts trust him enough to give him those reps. And again, the only reason why he played so much yesterday is because Alec Pierce was out. There was part of me that thought Shane Steichen should have benched him for the next series or two.
Did you see him walking around behind the huddle the next series?
Yeah, and Fox obviously painted quite the picture of that. Ashton Dulin, to me, has been a guy that's pretty trustworthy.
You can count on him.
And, could he have been out there for the next couple series? I think it's a question moving forward. Do you have him inactive for next week? I'm not in the camp of cutting the dude, but I do think there could have been some in-game punishment, or now going into week 5, that punishment as well. But again, bigger picture, we'll talk A.D. Mitchell, endlessly, I'm sure, for the next 3 hours. But to me, what could carry into October? What could carry beyond this week? It is your cornerback depth. It is Xavier Howard. And are you going to make a change there, or is Lou Anarumo going to rely on his past relationship with him and act like everything's fine.
We'll talk about that at length throughout the day. You want some good news, KB? Did you watch the Fever at all yesterday, going back and forth?
Boy, I'm not gonna lie. The old budget does not have 3 TVs available in the living room, but I needed about 9. I needed the Fever on. I guess I didn't need to watch the Reds. I needed to watch the Miami. Are they the Miami Marlins or the Florida Marlins?
Miami.
They are the Miami Marlins.
Yeah.
Whatever they are. God, I love fish. Great work, Marlins. Thank you for that. The Ryder Cup turned into just high-level drama.
You're thanking the Marlins. You should be thanking me.
No. I have to thank the Marlins.
Oh,
get him, Jeff. He jumped off the bandwagon a month and a half ago.
I said the
now
Reds
he's gonna
were
be Mr.
dead.
Redlegs.
You know what I just misspoke on? I forgot the Mets were deader than the Reds. That's one of the
Mets
more
are Metsin.
epic collapses in MLB history by the New York Mets there. I don't know if any of you caught the audio of their final out against the Marlins. That was tremendous by them. So that was quite, I know they say witching hour, right, Mark? At about 4 o'clock on NFL Sunday. I felt like it was more like in like the 5 or 6 o'clock window
for Mets fans, it's the bitching hour.
Fever, baseball, Ryder Cup. I feel like I'm missing something else there. That was just unbelievable. Obviously, the end of the Bears game was tremendous. If you didn't stay up for Sunday Night Football, that was a tie, 40-40 tie, Packers and Cowboys.
I'm really glad I did not
last
stay
night.
up for that.
Did we get 3 field goals in overtime for that tie? No, 4 field goals. I think it was. Maybe it was Brandon McManus send it into overtime, then we had a couple field goals in OT. So
I have an overtime thought that maybe like we can solve this from getting ties in the NFL going forward. I want to throw that out at you guys because after I stayed up past midnight to watch a tie, I was like, there's got to be a better way that we end this.
Commissioner Goodell getting a handwritten letter from Mark Dykton today?
No, but I want to throw that out you and see if I'm insane for thinking it or if that might be something they need to do moving forward.
Well, we'll talk about all of it as the day moves along, and everybody can get their poison out today, especially Colts fans, and all of us were watching that game yesterday like, what just happened? All right, we'll talk about all of it. We'll get to the text line as well, 239-1070. Might even take a few calls today. James Boyd is traveling back from Los Angeles. It's Kevin Bowen, Jeff Rickard, Mark Dykton. This is the Fan Morning Show at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Busy day in sports on Sunday. We're going to start with the Indianapolis Colts taking a trip out west to take on the Los Angeles Rams. Kevin Bowen looked for a minute like the Colts may have had this one in hand. A.D. Mitchell gets loose on what looks to be a 75-yard touchdown reception and drops the ball at the half-yard line. It goes out of the end zone. Turnover. Colts end up losing 27-20 after another A.D. Mitchell holding penalty prevented what would have been a Jonathan Taylor touchdown. And then on the game-winning touchdown for the Rams, Tutu Atwell gets loose for 88 yards, actually. Only 10 men on the field. What happened yesterday?
Yeah, hard to overcome stupid at times, and the Colts had a lot of stupid yesterday, not only with their own players, but also their coaching staff. I thought one of the more underrated moments of the game, too, was just that back-breaking 96-yard touchdown right before half. Rigoberto Sanchez, a great punt there, and boom, you give up that right before recess there. I thought that was a big play in the game. So, when you're playing that talented of a team and you're on the road, you can't overcome that. 11 penalties, that's a big number for the Colts, too. So that's, I think, the frustrating element is, you can live with more than live with 3-1 at the end of the first quarter of the season, but for that one kind of sitting right there for you, you did a lot of good and not come away with it. That one stings.
No question about it. The Colts now go on to Week 5. They will take on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders coming up with a loss. A little bit short yesterday against who, Mark Dykton?
Chicago Bears. Boy, that was one that I was, trying to jinx, and thank God they did because they blocked the field goal, which would have been the win for the Raiders. I observed a little bit. I was taking notes because obviously the Colts' next opponent is the Raiders. Basically cover two men, Lou Anarumo, Shane Steichen, Ashton Genty, and Max Crosby. If you can contain both of those guys, the Raiders really aren't that great. But Max Crosby was a beast yesterday. I mean, he was single-handedly destroying the Bears' offense. It was wild to watch.
Rest of the AFC South yesterday, the Texans shut out the Tennessee Titans for their first win, 26-0. Titans are just that bad. And Jacksonville comes up with a road win against the San Francisco 49ers, a game I didn't see coming, Kevin Bowen. So the AFC South continues to kind of take shape and take form.
Yeah, so Jags and Colts, right? Both are 3-1 here in this division. Just another wild Sunday in the NFL. If you missed it last night, it was a tie on Sunday Night Football, 40-40. Packers and Cowboys. And tonight we'll get two absolutely awful on paper Monday night games, but at least we can go with a little remote action here. Bengals Broncos is the second game, 8:15. Jets Dolphins at 7:15.
Double the suck is how I like to think of it.
Stick a fork in my eyeball.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to something good. The Indiana Fever have extended their best-of-5 series in the WNBA semifinals to 5 games. The fifth and deciding game will be coming up on Tuesday night at Las Vegas, 9:30 p.m. because at home yesterday in an afternoon game over at the Fieldhouse, the Fever led largely for most of the game, never by a lot, but just kept hanging on and hanging on. They beat Las Vegas 90-83. Aaliyah Boston was terrific, 24 points, 14 rebounds. She was 11 of 13 from free throws. Kelsey Mitchell had 25. Lexi Hull, not huge in the box score, 4 steals, 7 rebounds, but it felt like she got a steal or a rebound just about every single time the Fever needed to get something and get a little momentum back. And so they forced a game 5, and believe it or not, this team that had, listen to this again, I just want to go over it. This is who was on the bench last night cheering. Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Chloe Bibby, Ari McDonald. They just keep rolling on. Somehow, somewhere, they were a game away from the WNBA Finals, Kevin.
Yeah, so it's winner take all tomorrow night, late one, 9:30 out there in Vegas. Yeah, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, they were all-stars yesterday for you. I thought Aaliyah Boston did a really nice job on Asia Wilson as well. I don't know if that'll show up in the stat sheet, but I thought she did a pretty good job in some fourth-quarter possessions there. So you put the pressure back on Vegas. We'll see how they respond, and it'll be the Phoenix that's DeWanna Bonner waiting for them in the WNBA Finals as they beat Minnesota yesterday.
All right, meanwhile, college football to the weekend. Indiana survives a scare. It was a tough one. They beat Iowa 20-15. They gave up a late safety, but man, the 36-yard touchdown pass with less than 3 minutes to go from Fernando Mendoza to Elijah Surratt, and somehow, some way, they come out of a really tough environment and get tested and get a win against Iowa.
Yeah, they haven't had many of those in the Kurt Cignetti era where, it's this back and forth game, and, certainly you were gifted a missed field goal, and I don't know if that backup quarterback for Iowa could have started for Iowa City High, but what a play by Elijah Surratt. And honestly, for Fernando Mendoza for hanging in there, knowing that pressure was coming. And, Surratt kind of gives me some Michael Pittman Jr. vibes. I don't know if that's the perfect comp for him, but for him to break that tackle and take it upfield, that's a play that, yes, Oregon and Penn State will get more fanfare on the schedule the rest of the way, but what a moment for him, and just a huge, huge play, because now that gives you just a little bit of margin for error moving forward, whereas if you lose that game, you have to go to Oregon and steal that one, or go to Happy Valley and steal that one later in the year. So now bye week coming up for Indiana and Oregon before, I assume, College Game Day will be out in Eugene for that one in 2 weeks.
All right, your Notre Dame Fighting Irish, my college football lock of the week, just hammered Arkansas 56-13. Kevin, I know you're a fan and you were a little worried about it, but I felt this one coming. I knew at some point Notre Dame was going to get on track, and I just don't believe that much in Arkansas.
Is that Boo Pig Suey?
Yes, it was Boo Pig Suey.
Okay.
But a big day for, your young quarterback is looking good, and your running game got it together. I was watching back and forth on Saturday. That was a pretty good-looking football team.
Yeah, you always play well when the coach gets fired the next day. So that's what Notre Dame did to Arkansas. Bobby Petrino, the interim. I need the neck brace now on him for every press conference here moving forward for Arkansas.
Butler won homecoming. They beat Marist 31-28, and Indy win over Truman State by a score of 30-20 to catch up on some of the college football over the weekend. We can also tell you that who has made the postseason in Major League Baseball from the National League Central? Kevin?
Say it, Kevin.
Go
Say
ahead.
it.
It's okay. We know.
Jeff, thank you. You spearheaded the Reds. You got them into the postseason. Without Jeff, the Reds are dead.
Well, the Reds and Terry Francona may have had something to do with it, and that pitching has been terrific lately. 10 days ago, there were 4 teams still alive for that last one. The Arizona Diamondbacks, New York Mets, San Francisco Giants, they all faded, and the Reds were 8-3 in their last 11. Kevin.
What should the Reds do for the Miami Marlins? How should you thank them? How do you properly thank a team that gets you into the postseason?
Sell some season tickets for them.
Yeah,
that stadium's usually empty.
Buy a couple. Buy 4 season tickets, and that's how you.
The Reds lose game 162, but the Miami Marlins win it, and so that's how the Reds get into the postseason.
They have a best.
Reds Dodgers, right?
Yeah,
Mark,
best
and your
of
Cubs
3.
Padres.
Cubs Padres, yeah. I'd like to propose. I don't know what our listenership is out in Cincinnati, but if any Reds management is listening, Jeff Ricker deserves a bobblehead for next season.
Perhaps a statue.
Yeah,
I would wait in line for the Ellie De La Cruz bobblehead.
I think a bobblehead for Jeff Rickard, and I think the line would be.
Not only was it long, but it was deep and wide. People excited.
I mean, put that out there. Put that in the universe. It needs to happen. He was all over the Reds. Kevin jumped off the bandwagon 6 weeks ago. Now he's going to come crawling back, act like he's Mr. Redlegs all of a sudden.
I give him a little grace because I think he was just worried about getting his Reds heart broken.
No.
And unlike Jeff, I can actually name more than one Red on the team.
If he's climbing on, if he's climbing on the bandwagon, just take a pitchfork and stab those hands as they're trying to grab on him and Matt Taylor. Matt Taylor jumped off the bandwagon too.
See, this is a perfect example.
Take care of it.
Of if you say something with conviction long enough, it just becomes the truth. Golf yesterday, the Ryder Cup, valiant effort by Team USA.
Oh, that makes me want to puke.
But can I vent about one thing?
Oh. God.
What is this rule about if a guy's not feeling well, he can just opt out on the last day and you get a half point anyway?
Yeah, it's the stupidest rule in sports. Stupidest rule in sports. It'll be my negative go to the week, just to go ahead and preview that. Dumb. Victor Hovland's out there drinking beer, celebrating. His neck look fine to me. If you can't play, full point to the U.S.
In case you're wondering, there's a rule within the Ryder Cup that if you wake up and you don't feel good, you can opt out and you still get a half point for your match that day. Like, what is that?
Lame.
Very lame. Also, yesterday, we're coming down the stretch, obviously, in auto racing, and it was Chase Elliott getting the win yesterday in Kansas City, Kansas, with the Kansas Speedway victory. And so we roll on from there. Anything else you want to throw in, Kevin, from over the
Pacers
weekend?
Media Day today. Training camp starts tomorrow. It's kind of wild. Their first preseason game, I believe, is a week from tomorrow. It is just wild that the NBA is back. So Pacers about to be in your life a little bit more here.
And James Boyd has just texted me, said if you guys want me to hop on the other side, I can hop on. So he's about to catch a flight, so we can get a break and get James on before
Dial him up. We'll talk Colts next and take some of your texts as well at 239-1070 because, believe it or not, Kevin, the text line is getting the poison out this morning. We'll tell you all about it next. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning and welcome in. There we go, microphone on. Good morning and welcome into the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, Jeff Rickard, Mark Dykton, and the fourth member of our little program here is on a plane right now on a runway in Los Angeles, where yesterday he watched the Colts implode and lose to the Rams. James Boyd is now on the Payless Liquors hotline. Good morning, James Boyd. Now, do you have to speak softly because you're like in the middle seat, crammed between two big guys, or what?
No, I always got an aisle seat, and I'm up. I always make my flights. I'll be out as soon as we get in the air, but I got some time for you.
Well, that's good to see. You were there in person. So just overall thoughts on what you walked away with after talking to everybody, putting your story up, and everything else last night.
I look at it twofold. I think from one standpoint, you feel like they made some of the dumbest errors you'll ever see, particularly A.D. Mitchell in that loss. And then at the same time, you went toe-to-toe with a Super Bowl contender, despite all those mistakes, and nearly won the game. So a lot of long faces in that locker room after the game, and none longer than A.D. Mitchell, just because, how can you make that mistake again after what we had happen with JT last year? So he was heartbroken. He was staring at the floor when I walked into the locker room. He knew he had to kind of face the music with the media, and that's a hard pill to swallow for a guy who can never seem to get out of his own way.
James, how would you kind of set the locker room scene from Jonathan Taylor's, gaffe in Denver last year to A.D. Mitchell yesterday? If you want to look at it positively, I thought the Colts showed much more resolve in reacting to yesterday's stupidity than last year. Last year, the whole game just kind of unraveled. How do you kind of compare the two individuals and the two scenes?
Yeah, stupidity is certainly the right word to use. Just dumb, boneheaded mistake by A.D. Mitchell. I would say it wasn't as bad as last year, because last year you knew it was over after the JT blunder, after that loss, because, that is a win that you need to, get to make the playoffs. And so if you miss or have a miscue like that, I think it's hard to swallow that and come back from that. So I guess if there is a silver lining, it's the fact that you have a chance to rebound. It's still early in the season. It's not that big of a deal. I know I don't want to dismiss it like it isn't, a huge deal, but it's not season ending is what I mean. So that's kind of the scene that I would kind of lay out in the locker room, but a lot of disappointed guys and people who just kept saying, we can't keep making the same mistakes.
James, your best guess to what they will do with A.D. Mitchell and what they will do with Xavier Howard, if anything at all?
I think for A.D. Mitchell, he's going to go back to his typical role, which is wide receiver 4, if Alec Pierce is healthy next week. So he will obviously have a significantly reduced role, and that is what's needed for him. He can't be trusted in big moments at all so far throughout his career. And then when you look at what happened with Xavier Howard, we had a chance to talk to him in the locker room yesterday. He was very short, did not want to speak to us, and for good reason, because all of the questions were basically like, how could you play this poorly, or how can you play better? And I think one of the biggest things that they can do, honestly, is perhaps play the undrafted rookie, Jonathan Edwards. It can't get any worse than what we're seeing from Xavier Howard right now. And in my opinion, he's just not an NFL starter. Every week he's getting cooked.
James Boyd joining us from the airplane in Los Angeles, getting ready to come back to Indianapolis as the Colts lose to the Rams 27-20 yesterday. When the coaching staff goes back and looks at this film, the obvious mistakes, the A.D. Mitchell hold, the dropping the ball, the 10 men on the field, a couple of errant throws for Daniel Jones, some other things that went on. What do you think that they bring back as far as a coaching staff and say to themselves, man, this was good, this was bad? I know you've talked about that a little bit, but what do they see when they look at that film?
I think the good thing is that they finally got some pass rush, and I felt like they were disruptive for Matthew Stafford. You saw some really good plays, I thought, from Laiatu Latu, who unfortunately could not really be highlighted yesterday because of all the other calamities throughout the game. But beyond that, I think a lot of the mistakes are going to stick out. It's hard to fathom the fact that A.D. Mitchell made that mistake in that moment. He said after the game that Shane Steichen had kind of beat it into their heads that the saying letters and logos, meaning you run through the end zone and into the letters and logos, and he still made that mistake. So it's hard to, look at the positives from that game. I thought there were certainly some there, despite all the mistakes, but that's going to be a lot of heavy film session for a lot of guys who made a lot of mistakes. Because beyond A.D. Mitchell, I thought that they just committed too many penalties. Bernard Ryman, Quentin Nelson had some big offensive lineman penalties throughout that game that backed them up and put them in, adverse situations.
James, I know you got to run here in a few. We appreciate you waking up super, super early and spending time with us, and safe travels, of course. Any explanation post-game on 10 players on the field on the 2-2 Atwell touchdown? I know Fox graphicked it out pretty intently afterwards, but anything from Shane Steichen or guys in the locker room?
So I didn't realize that until after Cam Bynum told us in the locker room, so I didn't get a chance to ask Shane about it. No one asked about it in his press conference. We will certainly follow up later today on Zoom, and I will see you there, Kevin. But as far as the players, Cam Bynum just said, I asked him, I said, did you realize it in the moment? Like, what was kind of going through your head? He's like, yeah, but you're trying to, like, just get set for defense and, plays moving fast. And he said you come back to the sideline and you realize you made a huge mistake. So he said the players have to own it, the coaches have to own it, and, they're all kind of having to wear the egg on their face. And I followed up next Zaire Franklin as well. He's the, middle linebacker, the green dot guy. For those listening, the green dot means you're the captain of the defense. You get all the play calls. And he was saying, hey, I was rushing the passer, and, we just didn't communicate well enough. And he said it was inexcusable. So to have that play happen was a big, big mistake. And then on top of that, Mekhi Blackman fell down in coverage. Perhaps he's had another defensive back out there like he was supposed to. He doesn't break that long touchdown for the game-winning score. Perhaps it's a 40-yard game, 50-yard game, but not a touchdown. So an error that certainly they will play on the film for sure, and it's something that you just can't excuse.
James Boyd, thanks for stopping by, and safe flight. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Get some rest.
Appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it, man.
James Boyd, member of our show, on the plane, coming back from Los Angeles, where the Colts drop a 27-20 game to the Indianapolis Colts.
He was on the plane that whole time?
He was literally on the aisle seat on the plane.
I told him at first he was muffled, and he's like, hold on, I'm putting my bag in the overhead storage bin.
Oh, my gosh.
Usually here
it's right up there with A.D. Mitchell, one of those stupider things I've seen. Gosh, James, can you imagine having to be next to James Boyd right now?
You just want to go to sleep, because it's what?
Sir, can you go to the lavatory back there?
It's 4:43 in the morning over there.
Yeah.
People are going to sleep.
Unbelievable.
But look what he did, the sacrifice for the show.
What
Kevin.
an effort by James Boyd.
That has now set the standard for the rest of us, right?
He's putting the eye cover over his eyes as we speak.
He's putting show ahead of seatmates on the flight. Thank you, James, for
that. Let's check out some of the texts as people start to get it off their chest this morning here at 239-1070 on the fan text line. Some I can't read. I can read Caleb's, who just says, extend Alec Pierce today. An anonymous one said, Howard is terrible, but he still plays a huge number of snaps, lack of accountability. Franklin's still doing podcasting, making distracting remarks, and no accountability. They should have learned from last year. A lot of people mad about that kind of stuff, Kevin.
I think the Xavier Howard one is legit mad. Through 3 weeks, it had stunned me that teams were not peppering him with targets more, and he didn't play football last year. And Lou Anarumo has just kind of sided with the back of the baseball card, and it kind of gives me Frank Reich, Adam Vinatieri vibes from a handful of years ago when, Reich kept on going back to the, well, look at his career, and at some point, it's not just the back of the baseball card. It's a 46-year-old kicker who was hurt in Adam Vinatieri's case. With Xavier Howard, it's a 32-year-old corner that didn't play football last year. Like, you can't just keep trotting him out there, and hell, James brought up Jonathan Edwards. The one play I felt like Edwards had yesterday made a beautiful pass deflection over the middle of the field. So that to me is the bigger issue from a big picture standpoint. It's you cannot continue to run Xavier Howard out there, and you're fortunate it's only cost you one game so far.
A lot of people saying cut A.D. Mitchell yet. CT in Nashville said, has he been cut yet? I would have left him on the tarmac. And then people saying that about Xavier Howard as well. But
he's on that flight with James right now.
Yeah. Yes, they wouldn't even let him on the team flight. No, I don't know. But what do you do with a guy that's so physically gifted like A.D. Mitchell? You heard in the open Shane Steichen say we still believe in him. What do you do with him at this point in time? Do you just make him developmental?
Two things. One, I think you should have benched him for the next series or two after that. I think you should have played Ashton Dulin. Fox obviously showed him a ton, and clearly he was in his own, world after that. Did he have a catch the rest of the game? I'm trying to think.
I think he had one. He did have one catch after that, I believe. But
okay.
he was clearly not in a good headspace after that.
Maybe
play.
On that final drive before Jones threw the pick.
I'll look it up real quick.
Clearly he was not very impactful. Actually, the only time he was impactful was the holding penalty that truly kind of iced the day for him there. So again, end game. I think you should have explored that. And now, as you look ahead to Week 5, I would have no issue in having him inactive for the Raiders game. Particularly if Alec Pierce is, ready to go. Pittman, Pierce, Downs, and then Ashton Dulin kind of being that fourth wideout for you. You have some wideouts on the practice squad. I think it's important to send a message to a guy that, going back to what I said earlier, when Jonathan Taylor dropped the ball at the goal line last year against Denver, I remember coming in here Monday morning saying, what's so stunning that Taylor did that is I would expect a guy like A.D. Mitchell to do that. First career touchdown. And what's so frustrating, I think, for Colts fans in both of those moments was it's, and especially with Mitchell, it's just purely the showboating aspect of it. It's not diving for the pylon. It's not 4th and goal where you might stretch it over the pile and something kind of, fluky could happen there. It's purely trying to celebrate. And again, just purely from a football standpoint, I thought the more egregious one was the holding penalty. I mean, just no fundamental aspect whatsoever there. Totally just overruns the corner and then just in a desperate just heave almost reaches behind him. Just a blatant holding penalty. And that's why you can't trust him. And again, Jeff, I said it to you earlier in the show. That's why I thought your 80 catch comment was so ridiculous, because you just can't trust A.D. Mitchell to play him. Yeah, he can have, highlight reel catches, and certainly that catch that he made yesterday was unbelievable. But in the other 50-some plays, when you're asking him to do some of the ordinary, non-sexy stuff, he's beyond unreliable.
Well, he certainly was yesterday, and the Colts lose 27-20, and everybody wants to get mad at one player. But, man, there are some times that there is a team loss, and A.D. Mitchell certainly had the two biggest blunders of the day. There's no question about that. Maybe the coaching staff is right there on an equal par when you only have 10 guys out there. But I forget who said it after the game, too. Somebody said, hey, that's on players and coaches. That just can't happen in the NFL. 10 players on the field.
Well, and what's truly egregious, too, is, I went back and watched that play. There's no one from the sideline recognizes that. If you go back and watch the TV copy, Fox kind of pans in really from around midfield. Clearly, none of the 10 guys on the field knew it. Cam Bynum mentioned after the game, he was like, yeah, it seemed a little off pre-snap, but I wasn't exactly sure what was going on. And then sideline-wise, there's nobody that had urgency. Based off my best guess, I think Mike Hilton, the new corner, was supposed to be out there. That's my assumption. It's either him or another linebacker out there on that play. And you had 3 timeouts. I mean, that obviously you would have burned one of your timeouts there. And again, that's a change of possession. That's not the middle of a drive where things can get chaotic and, wait, did they sub personnel? Did they not? 40 seconds on a play clock. This is literally after a punt is when all of that chaos happened there. So, that from Lou Anarumo. And again, Jeff, that 96-yard drive to end the first half. I mean, I know we won't talk about it very much, but that to me felt like a huge turning moment in that game where, you could have been up 10-6 going into halftime, feeling really good about yourself, scoreboard-wise, kind of weathered some of that early storm there. And for them to drive down the field on you so seamlessly on that 96-yard drive, where early in the drive, after the great Sanchez punt, you're probably thinking to yourself, man, if you can stop them here, you're going to have great field position for you to maybe stretch the lead to 2 scores even going into halftime there. So Lou Anarumo's got a lot of looking in the mirror on this Monday morning. First with Xavier Howard, who needs to be benched. And then 2, yes, as James pointed out, I thought the pass rush had some moments, but that 96-yard drive just, oh, man. I think it was the longest Rams drive in 3 years or so.
No, to that point, Paul, the mailman says, fellas, the prevent defense before the half was very passive. We played way off the ball, 10 yards, allowed them to drive 96 yards before the half. I'm not upset with Mitchell about the fumble. Ball slipped out of his hands trying to stretch it out over the goal line. Taylor intentionally dropping the ball last year. We can all talk about that all we want. But to me, even more egregious was the holding penalty that you so aptly described as, first of all, there's no reason for him to be holding in that situation. He was just way out of position, and it looked like he had both hands on the defender's shoulders and was just pushing him down to the ground, like the most obvious holding call of all time.
What did you think of Daniel Jones yesterday?
Resilient, but not on his best. How about that? It wasn't terrible, but he did turn the ball over twice. He made a couple plays just by getting out of tough situations in the pocket. I thought he stayed and kept some plays alive. He was far from their worst problem yesterday. What do you think?
Boy, there's not a lot of compliments in that. It sounded like a lot of backhanded compliments.
No, but I mean, he didn't. It's not like he carried him single-handedly or anything. He had a decent day, but he had some problems too.
Yeah, the first interception, and he said this after the game, I think he should have led Mitchell more. Could Mitchell have gone up and made a better play in the air? Does Pierce make a better play? Probably. But again, I think he could have led Mitchell a little bit more. And then I thought the last INT, I just didn't think he needed a hero ball at that point. Yeah. It was a first down, minute to go. You had 3 timeouts. Maybe at some point in that drive, you need the moonshot. You need to kind of pray for the 500 ball in the backyard. I didn't think it was needed right there. I thought he had Taylor, honestly. Could have dumped it for 10 and then taken a timeout and tried to get closer to midfield that way there. So, I thought, I don't know if I'm giving him a letter grade, I don't know, C-, something like that. The 2 big negatives, he had stayed away from all the negatives so much, but he had the 2 big negatives. And then I think in the other parts of the game, just not enough maybe lifting of the ship. And maybe that's just kind of where the Daniel Jones line is drawn. Mm-hmm. Because I thought, unlike the first 3 games, Jeff, I thought it was the most under pressure, tightest windows that he had to fit balls into of the season. I thought it was the most pass rush the Colts have had against them. And then when he did throw the ball, I thought it was some of the more contested windows. So, again, when you face defenses like this, can Daniel Jones, lift you a little bit more, make the play when you're behind the chains? The Colts were behind the chains so often yesterday. Can you get out of some of that? Those are kind of the big picture Daniel Jones things that at some point you might have to, talk about when, pondering a contract extension or something along those lines for him.
The other thing that we haven't talked about yet, too, for the Colts is they were trying to find a way yesterday to win without the dominant running game that they've enjoyed so far this year. Jonathan Taylor got his yards. He had some nice plays, and it would have been probably a much different story had that holding call not been called. But yards were tough to find yesterday, and he was able to get something out of nothing a lot of times, but it wasn't like they just forced the other team in the second half. They had one drive, I think, it looked like they started to get something a little bit going, and then, of course, the one play that was called back. But it wasn't like from the get they were just doing whatever they wanted along the offensive line yesterday.
Yeah, Taylor only had 5 carries in the first half, which I thought was kind of a low number. And, again, you were waiting for the home run, and you got it. Obviously, the A.D. Mitchell holding penalty, we've talked a whole lot about there. So, obviously the Tyler Warren stuff, they continue to utilize him in a lot of different ways. I didn't love the offensive pass interference. I get when you hit a dude near the head. Usually the NFL kind of calls that both sides, but I didn't love that call. And again, I thought that was a key sequence because if I'm not mistaken, that put you back into 1st and 20. And then I thought Shane got uber conservative, after that Mike Hilton fumble. To me, that was a moment there. If you can stretch that to 2 scores, it's premature to say the game is over, but I think that could have that really could have caused the Rams at least to kind of break whatever aspect or whatever normal game flow, game plan that they were having there. So I thought that was a key sequence too.
It's there was a weird game to watch, a lot of back and forth, and you thought for a while the Colts were going to be able to pull it out, and then the Rams just kept making plays too. And I think we probably do a disservice to the Rams because Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua did whatever they felt like doing yesterday, Kevin. We all talk about the long 88-yard touchdown game-winning pass and those kinds of things, but Puka Nacua had 170 yards receiving yesterday all day long.
Yeah, and again, he's a hell of a talent, but this gets back into something we talked about, the Gus Bradley era a lot. I think yesterday was, I believe, the 33rd game of Puka's career, or maybe 32nd game of his career, and that's the best game he's ever had. Why?
Xavier Howard.
Right. Why when you play these guys do they have their career games? I get they're great players, but, why don't they just have an average game against the Colts? And, this was supposed to change with Lou Anarumo. When you're playing these talents, and again, they largely had Mooney Ward shadow Devontae Adams, but, go back to the 4th and 2 that Puka scores on. Stafford comes to the line of scrimmage, and he has to be foaming at the mouth when he looks to his left and he sees Xavier Howard opposite Puka Nacua. Stafford's got to think to himself, wait a minute, I don't even need to bring that dude in motion to try and get Xavier Howard on him. I don't need to, 4th and 2, they didn't all of a sudden say, hey, Mooney Ward, how about if you line up on the best receiver in football and try to, slow him down? Where is the, safety over the top in that moment? Some sort of double team. At that point of the game, Puka had absolutely roasted you. When do you not do something differently as opposed to letting the corner right now that has been just burnt routinely be opposite the best receiver in football? Like, that is a big... I think Anarumo's done a lot of good, but in that moment yesterday, that's just awful.
All right. Coming up in a minute, we'll get your phone calls and texts. Your turn to give us the state of Colts Nation right now. A little feedback at 239-1070. We'll do it next here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Shotgun snap for the quarterback. Looks left. Fires down the left sideline, and it is a catch. A.D. Mitchell. There he goes. Inside the 30. Down the far sideline. 10. 5. Touchdown. A.D. Mitchell. His first career touchdown in the NFL. Hold on just a moment. The officials talking to one another at the goal line. The play happened furthest away from us as A.D. Mitchell had a great adjustment on the ball and then streaked down the far sideline. Made it in front of Emmanuel Forbes Jr.
He bobbled the ball at the end, Matt. He switched the ball in his hands right at the goal line. It looks like he may have fumbled it before he crossed the goal line, which would give the Rams the ball on the 20-yard line.
The ball was loose prior to crossing the goal line. It went in and out of the end zone. The result of the play is a touchback. First down, Rams.
I mean, that's just like the Jonathan Taylor play last year in Denver.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
I mean, deja vu all over again. Mitchell made a tremendous catch off a great throw by Jones. He spins out of a tackler, and he fumbles it short.
Wow.
Couldn't really process it, kind of in the moment. I mean, really still can't process it, to be real. So I just gotta, everything is, the whole play happened, because of me. The only way I'm gonna be able to get forward is, just growing as a player, as a person.
It's hard to explain in that situation, but we got a lot of faith in AD, and this is a bump in the road for him, and he's going to bounce back. And we got a lot of confidence in his abilities.
It's Taylor the carry. Taylor finds a crease. Taylor spinning free. Taylor on the run with the speed. Down the sideline. Touchdown, Indianapolis. But there is a flag back at the 45. A second off the board with a holding call.
You always have to be ready with Jonathan Taylor because you never know when he's going to break a play. I mean, that is such an easy call. It's going to be right where the run is. I thought maybe it was going to be late in that run, and Adonai Mitchell was adjusting because he wasn't in position, but that was from the start.
Just trying to make a play.
Plenty of time for Stafford. Throws downfield. He's got a man. Big play. 2-2 Atwell. Racing the other way. He's going to score. 20, 10, 5. Touchdown. That's an 88-yard pass for a go-ahead score.
I mean, there's things we got to clean up, Like I said, when you playing a good team, playing in a big game, can't hurt yourself.
All those plays, times when you hurt yourself, self-inflicted stuff, turning the ball over, penalties, all that stuff is going to be magnified in a game against a good team.
I guess I'm the problem, and your mess never do no wrong.
Good morning. Hope your Monday is off to a decent start. I just checked across the hall in the window, Kevin, over the circle. The sun did come up this morning, in case you were wondering. It's always dark when we get in here, but the sun did come up.
It's because the Reds are in the postseason and Kevin's eating crow this morning.
Wow.
Well, he was off the bandwagon 6 weeks ago. Now he's like, got to watch some postseason baseball. No, you are banned, sir.
You just got
Did I say
fired.
that? I think Mark's putting words in my mouth. If I hated, then I can't get back on. Mark is putting words into my mouth.
I don't think he ever hated. He just
I
was
said they
afraid.
were dead.
Yeah,
and now they're not.
Right. So I can't get back on.
Did you watch any of them this weekend at all?
I actually did. I actually watched a good amount. Certainly Friday night and Saturday. And thank you to the Miami Marlins for that.
Thank
you to Jeff Rickard.
We're going to get to appreciate that. We're going to get to the phone calls in a moment here, 239-1070. But, of course, the news is the Colts losing 27-20 on the road to the Rams yesterday. But when you zoom back out and go big picture, and we're going to talk about a small picture in detail quite a bit this morning, so don't worry about that, and everything that went wrong and how to fix it and all those kinds of things. But big picture, Kevin, if I'd have told you August 15th the Colts are going to be 3-1 heading into their game against Las Vegas, you would have said what?
Sign me up. Yeah, sign me up 100%. So, yeah, I do think big picture, obviously from a loss standpoint, yes, you're now tied to the Jags. It shrinks a little bit of the margin, et cetera, et cetera. But big picture, you could look at the Rams yesterday and say it might be the toughest game you have the rest of the season. When you look at the schedule, you're down, I'd say two of your probably top 5 or 6, maybe a little bit further down the list, most important players. Even though Matt Gonzalez, I get some injuries naturally happen in the NFL, but I mean, you went toe-to-toe, and a lot of people could have said that you outplayed them. So you didn't unravel after the fumble on the goal line like you did last year in Denver. So, there are some definite positives. And again, 3-1, I'd also point out the 3 wins against AFC teams. Not to get overly deep in the weeds into standings and stuff like that, but that matters more. If you're going to lose one of those games, you want to lose to the NFC team based off tiebreakers and things like that. So, when you do the evaluation, quarters of a season, 3-1, given how you played, given how Daniel Jones has largely looked, yeah, I mean, you have to be thoroughly impressed. Obviously, in the immediate aftermath of yesterday, though, there's just a stinging feeling in how that one unfolded.
You feel like there was a real opportunity to be 4-0. That's the crazy part.
Right.
How about that if I'd have told you on August 15th?
Well, yeah, but obviously week 2 was the ultimate gift that you got there from Denver. So I can't live too much in the, hey, you should be 4-0. It's like, well,
The one thing we have learned after all these years of watching the National Football League or any sporting event, it is kind of crazy to me. Over long periods of time, things do kind of even out. You get a break here, you don't have a break there. You make a stupid mistake here, another team makes a stupid mistake over there. That's why you got to limit your turnovers and your stupid mistakes, and you end up playing pretty good football most of the time. Let's go to the phone lines, 239-1070. We will start with John this morning. John, how would you sum it all up?
Good morning, gentlemen. I appreciate the local sports radio. That's awesome. The one thing I wanted to touch on that I don't know that you guys did so much is the long ball from David Jones. I don't know that he was very accurate. I mean, there were several throws I thought were over the wrong shoulder, or even the one to our lovely Mitchell, who couldn't tell if that was a back shoulder throw or it was a lucky catch or he threw it short. To me, it looked like he threw a lot of stuff short. Everything else looked very accurate. So I just wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts on that. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a question on that, Kevin. How much of that was you make a mistake here and there as a quarterback, but how much of that was he was under more pressure than he's been on in a lot of these games yesterday?
John, thank you for the call. Yeah, again, I thought Dan Jones is easily under the most pressure that he has been all season long. As far as the variety of deep balls he threw, again, the first deep ball he got picked, I thought he should have led A.D. Mitchell more to the sideline. Would you have liked Mitchell to go up and make a better play at it? Sure, I guess. Maybe Pierce does. But, and Jones admitted that after the game. That was a ball that he should have led better. I think John was referencing the actual Mitchell touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That was a 3rd and 4. And again, this is what the Colts think of A.D. Mitchell's talent. That is simply, wow, we're getting man coverage with a guy that we think can win 50-50 balls. I mean, that is simply, hey, we'll throw it up to him and our guy's better than your guy. That is exactly what the Colts thought there. And when you underthrow balls like that, the receiver probably knows there's a better chance for that. The corner is in a little panic mode, and that was just a hell of a play by Mitchell. Again, I said it to lead off the show. The full A.D. Mitchell experience, just watch that play. It's the immense talent and the stupidity, all in one play. And then as far as the last one, I would just call that an awful decision on the Pittman interception there to end the game. To me, that was no need for a hero ball.
He felt desperate on that one.
Yeah, and I get that. And again, this is now some of the Daniel Jones evaluation. When you get into these late game moments, when you have the must-have drives, can you deliver for your team? That was minutes ago with 3 timeouts. I get at some point you're probably going to have to hit on a chunk play, but I didn't think there was any business or necessary need to throw that ball. He had Jonathan Taylor on a check down there. So I think Jones, honestly, with the deep ball has been fairly good this season, but yesterday was definitely not a good day.
All right, let's go back to the phones, 239-1070 this morning. Paul joins us next here on the Fan Morning Show. Good morning, Paul. You're up.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing?
Well, we're like everybody else, trying to make sense of it all today. What do you got for me?
What I got, first off, on that last interception, Kevin was right. He should have checked it down. That reminded me of Carson Wentz in the overtime game against the Texans when he forced it to Michael Pittman and had Jonathan Taylor wide open underneath. I watched Daniel Jones do the same thing. Now, I'm frustrated with A.D. Mitchell, but I'm not going to say I'm angry with him. Let's remember, when Alec Pierce first started, after his first 2 years, everybody was calling him a bust until he busted on the scenes last year. So I'm frustrated with A.D. Mitchell, but I'm not going to be mad at him. The best player on our offense is Jonathan Taylor. He did the same mistake, and we still embrace Jonathan Taylor. We still love Jonathan Taylor. A.D. is young. We need to get behind him. We need to blame this coaching staff for what happened because, like I said earlier, I don't understand why we went to a Gus Bradley defense at the end of the first half where we played 10 yards off the ball and let them move the ball at will. And we've got to do better. Do not put Xavier Howard back out there. He has shown that he cannot compete with these younger receivers. It's time for us to let him go, bring somebody else in here, and like Kevin said earlier, you let Jonathan Edwards play because he's young, and it can't get any worse than what Xavier Howard is doing out there.
Paul, thank you for the call, brother. Appreciate it. Good luck on the mail route today. Yeah, there's a lot there. I guess let's focus on the last part. I'll be curious where Jalen Jones is at, too. Robbie, I think, sent this in earlier. Okay, if you're going to bench Xavier Howard, what do you do? Jalen Jones, to me, is a guy that I know the hamstring injuries really plagued him this offseason, but I think he's played pretty good football for you when he's been out there. So that's what I would like to see. Whenever Jones is healthy, and he's had his 4-week stay. Well, we'll try to get an update this week on that. He's, had the 4-week mandated absence on the injured reserve, so he could play as early as Sunday if he's healthy enough. That's a route that I would like to see them go because right now, Xavier Howard, just to put this into a little bit of context, Jeff, he entered yesterday, so not taking into account yesterday's game. Quarterbacks had a passer rating of 113 against him this season. The NFL record
for worse, right?
For career passer rating is 102. Ugh. So think about that. 113 is the passer rating against him. 102. Peyton Manning's career passer rating is 96. If you want to put those numbers into a little bit of perspective out there. And again, this was before Puka Nacua said, yes, Matthew Stafford, get me on him a little bit more because let's make this a career game. And that's what Puka had yesterday.
How often do you think those two just looked at each other in the eyes at the line of scrimmage yesterday like, here we go again?
I think that's probably what
Sign
made
me up.
Puka's thumb feel a lot better once he went in the locker room.
I think Puka just playing against the Colts in general just kind of gets him going because through 2 games, he's got 333 yards on 22 catches and 2 touchdowns.
And again, that's the frustrating aspect to me. It's Puka Nacua is a great wideout. Great wideout. Why does he have to have the best game of his career against you? And this was a big Gus Bradley negative. So many people. Why do these players continue to have career games against you? And the Anarumo thought was, we're going to have the week-to-week preparation. We're going to take away the best player or just limit them or hell, just create them having an average day. And instead, Puka spends time in the locker room yesterday and still has the most receiving yards he's had in his entire career. And in the biggest play of the game, 4th and 2, it's Xavier Howard lined up opposite him. Like, that was a moment where if you get the line of scrimmage, Shane Steichen should walk down to that official, timeout. Come over to the sideline, Mooney Ward, wherever number 12 goes, you follow him.
Yeah. One thing, timeout, when you said the word timeout, it triggered me too. I think the Colts had 3 timeouts when they had 10 men on the field the other day, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, couldn't a play? You would think that some player or some coach would have went, how about somebody screaming in the headsets up above? These guys see formations all day long every day.
I know.
They should. That's why Matthew Stafford's so good at what he does. He recognized the second he turned around from the huddle and looked at the line of scrimmage that
did Stafford say that he knew that?
No, but I'm just telling you, there's a veteran quarterback is looking for certain things, and when he sees something that's missing, immediately in his brain he's like, "Uh-oh, here we go."
Yeah, it was major Notre Dame, Ohio State PTSD for myself there, and yeah, I mean, how, especially when you
have a lot of sports PTSD.
I know. Well, you think the hair transplant just naturally happened there? That's why, for me, out of a timeout, not a timeout, I should say, out of a stoppage of play.
Yeah.
Like, it's after a punt. Your defense slowly walks out on the field. They start to line up. Where is your, 13th intern up in the booth counting numbers down there, down to Lou? Hey, and again, when you watch the sideline before that snap, I mean, clearly no one has any idea that there's 10 out there.
Didn't seem like anybody on the field had any idea that there was only 10.
The only thing that Cam Bynum said post-game was he said something felt odd. And again, the Colts are lining a lot of guys up at the line of scrimmage on that play. Mike Hilton, that's my best guess. The new corner should have been the 11th guy out there on the field. That's my best guess as to what went wrong there.
Let's try Josh next. Good morning, Josh. You're on the air here on the Fan Morning Show. What do you got for us today?
Hey, guys. I really enjoy your show. I listen to it every morning. A little frustrated this morning with the Colts. Again, I've literally watched them all year in frustration with the same type of prevent defense, and it seems to be number 4 is the weak link for the Colts. And what's aggravating is we don't address it, and we knew it was going to bite us in the butt, and it did. And more or less than just losing the game, I can deal with the loss, but I can't deal with other receivers, them using their number 1 receiver on our weakest link, and we do nothing about it, and the coaches just act like it don't exist. Something's got to happen.
Yeah. Josh, I think that's really well said. Appreciate you listening. Again, Jeff, going back to, okay, it seems like we have 2 big storylines today, right? A.D. Mitchell and then Xavier Howard and defense. The second one is the bigger storyline for me, big picture. Like A.D. Mitchell's stupidity in a vacuum, okay, that was very costly yesterday, but when healthy, he's probably not going to play a lot. They'll take a lot of specific shots when he's on the field. He's going to make some plays, and then you'll realize why he's not out there more. Like, okay, that's fine. But continuing to run Xavier Howard out there as much as they have, it's like it's very travel baseball-y, like what Lou Anarumo's doing.
My guy.
It's very like, well, I've got this past relationship with them, and, you know, he was an all-pro, and I'm like, when it goes for corners, it can go. And this is a 32-year-old corner that spent all of last season on the couch. That's not ideal. No. And I think we've seen, and we saw before, like, we did not need to watch yesterday. If we would have sat here on Friday's show, and we would have listed out, hey, Colts are 3-0, what things give you concern right now? We would have had Xavier Howard like 1 or 2 on the list. So by no means is this breaking news, what we just watched yesterday. And again, I think that's the frustrating element to it. So I'll be, you know, we're going to get the first dose of the Lou Anarumo accountability. And again, frankly, it should have happened before yesterday, but now are we going to see it? Because in game, I kept on watching. Every time the Colts came back on the field, I thought, wow, Xavier Howard's still out there. Like, they didn't bench him in game. I got the snap counts right here. Howard ended up playing. The Colts had 75 defensive snaps. Howard played 66 of them. So
do they just feel more comfortable with him than their other options? I mean, let's give, for a moment, for the sake of discussion, let's give Anarumo the benefit of the doubt. Does he just feel more comfortable?
I mean, I guess to answer the question, clearly, but dear Lord.
Very quickly, let's talk to Tracy here at 239-1070 before we get to a check down. Tracy, you're up next. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. Hey, just real quick follow-up on just that. During the game, why wouldn't you flip Ward over to Nacua and put Howard back over on Adams and see what happens? The basic fundamental with the team I have a lot of times, I just think Shane Steichen isn't much of a leader, and he's just an offensive coordinator guy. Not to go over and tell your defensive coordinator this guy's getting toasted and make a change. And to me, the biggest problem I have is you let a guy who made a mistake and took a touchdown off the board, you let him continue to play, and then he burns you again. And it just seems like they're sort of soft and disciplining guys and don't want to make guys feel bad about themselves. Well, I know at work, if I do something wrong, I might get my butt chewed a little bit. You know, that's the things I don't understand with the Colts.
Tracy, thank you for the call. Yeah, the CEO aspect to Shane Steichen as a head coach, I do think there is a lot of truth behind that, is if you do have a coach that is more of the overseer of it all and is not so preoccupied in-game with play calling, does he, now I would hope all you have to do is literally watch the Jumbotron and see how much Puka Nacua is cooking you. Like, you would be able to say to Lou Anarumo, especially on 4th and 2, hey, if we get into must-have moments the rest of the game, get Mooney Ward over on him. Or, at the very least, even if you don't want Mooney to go off of Adams, double Puka. Like, if you watch the 4th and 2, It is simply mano-a-mano. Cam Bynum is like a safety that's kind of shading over to that side, but not really. Yeah. And so that, I think, is where the frustration that Tracy has is very valid of, as a head coach, you've got to demand some of that stuff, particularly in game when it's unfolding. Even at halftime. I mean, what was Puka's stat line at halftime? He had to have over 100 yards at half. That's your moment
to 170 for the game. So
right.
Yeah.
I assume he was over 100 at half. That's your moment to kind of regroup after the 16-play drive just happens and say, all right, I get that this was the plan all week long. We can continue it for a bit, but when we get in the red zone, we get into third downs, we get into fourth downs, I want to see something change here. And then as far as the A.D. Mitchell thing, I think I mentioned earlier, I would have liked to have seen him bench for the next series or two. If you wanted some design shots to him the rest of the game, like on the final drive, like when you're down to the final drive, fine, put him back out there. But in the run moments, put Doolin out there.
Just give him a chance to at least get his head together again, because he was lost for a minute after that play. All right. By the way, can DeForest Buckner cover? Because he can do everything else.
Yeah,
you just put him at cornerback at this point in time.
I mean, honestly, a positive from yesterday, I do think, was the pass rush. I think it was 3 sacks and 9 hits on Stafford.
Yeah.
I thought the pass rush gave you better moments than we've seen.
Yeah, I thought was giving him I guess, kind of a backhand. That's not even backhand. He's just a stud.
Oh, stud.
He's just a total stud. All right, Mark, let's check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Maybe you went camping all weekend long and you're just waking up and you want to know what's going on and you just turned on the radio 3 seconds ago. Colts lose 27-20 to the Los Angeles Rams in a game that it felt like they had a really good chance to win, Kevin. I know you can say that about any one-score game, but the number of self-inflicted shots that the Colts gave themselves yesterday really gave themselves no chance to win.
In total, I think it was 11 penalties, which that's now twice this season. They've been at that number. That's an extremely high number for Shane Steichen's team. So, as you start to get bigger sample size in this season, that is something definitely to keep an eye on. The Colts are way behind the chains. Way too much behind the chains yesterday.
Yeah, and also the story of the day, A.D. Mitchell drops the ball at the goal and just prior to the goal line, and it goes out of the end zone for a touchback that the Rams get possession after what would have been a 75-yard touchdown pass. A little bit later on, he gets called for holding on what would have been a Jonathan Taylor touchdown run. Another highlight reel Jonathan Taylor touchdown run it would have been. And then, of course, the Colts get called for 10 men on, not called for, but got penalized in terms of real play, an 88-yard touchdown because they only had 10 men on the field. That's as bad as, it's worse than a penalty, Kevin.
Honestly, Jeff, that holding penalty to me was just so egregious. Like, that was A.D. Mitchell's head clearly not anywhere where it needed to be. That corner's just sitting there. Mm-hmm. And A.D. Mitchell, overruns him and then kind of reaches back and yanks him down. There's no fundamental aspect to that play whatsoever. I get that dropping the ball on the goal line speaks for itself, but damn, that holding penalty. Oh, my gosh, that was horrific.
They will try again next week at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Colts are 3-1. The Raiders coming off a tough loss to the Chicago Bears yesterday, Mark Dykton.
The Bears literally did everything in their power to try to blow that game, and yet the Raiders were bad enough to let them win it. So that says something. If you're feeling kind of crappy on this Monday morning, the Raiders aren't very good. If you can somewhat contain Max Crosby, keep Ashton Genty in check, you can get a victory on next Sunday.
Sounded like Geno Smith was really bad.
He was horrific. He was throwing balls in the air like they were ducks falling out of the sky during hunting season.
Look at that.
Look at you, man.
Boy, that's one of your best work.
Thank you.
I went to sleep last night with the Packers leading just before the half.
Are you a hunter?
Packers suck.
No. Yeah.
I was going to say, that would have been news to me.
They were up 7-0, and I think they just got, I forget what it was. It was 10 or 13-0. But the Cowboys start to come back, and it ends up, if you
wasn't it 13-2 at one point?
Yeah, because they had a blocked extra point return for a 2-point conversion, didn't they, Mark?
Yes.
Oh, man, it was 13-2. Anyway, Cowboys come back at home, end up in a tie, 40-40. Both teams got a field goal in overtime, and that's what it was. Dak Prescott, I saw some highlights this morning. He looked confused after the second field goal, like, wait, what? That's a tie? That's it?
There's always somebody that's like, wait, what do you mean? I didn't know we could have ties here. I'm like, yeah.
I'm still waiting for Mark Dykton. Maybe in the 9 o'clock hour we can get into this rule change that Mark has for NFL overtime.
Well, just because, again, I stayed up past midnight to watch this, and I stayed up to watch a 40-40 tie. I'm like, No, come on. Like, we can't be doing this. Like, there has to be a way to do this. So it's very rare that NFL games end in ties. I'm going to throw a solution up, and then this is a brain fog, obviously, idea since it was after midnight, and I was like, I got to be up in like 4 hours. But I'm going to throw it out to you guys in a little bit, and we'll see what you thought.
We'll do that. Also, the Fever stay alive in the WNBA playoffs. They get a win yesterday, 90-83 at home. Tie that best-of-5 series with the Las Vegas Aces up at 2 games apiece. Fifth and deciding game will be Tuesday night, tomorrow night at Las Vegas, 9:30 p.m. start, 9:15 with a fan pregame show. That at Garrison. The Fever yesterday, Aaliyah Boston, 24 points, 14 rebounds. Kelsey Mitchell had 25. Those two just keep rolling right along. They and a lot of gritty play from several Fever players have just kept this team alive, Kevin. They won't go away.
Yeah, it was special yesterday from your 2 All-Stars, just stepping up major leagues, flipping back and forth. I know Mitchell had the big 3-point play late. I thought Boston was just outstanding. Both ends of the floor, her defense on Asia Wilson. So now you put all the pressure. Vegas believes in the home team. They're a huge favorite tomorrow night. But again, can you put the game pressure on them? Remember, Game 7 of the Pacers Thunder, that game was a slog. That game was a grind. Can you create that tomorrow night? 9:30 tip out there. Winner moves on to the WNBA Finals against Dewana Bonner and the Phoenix Mercury.
Yeah, they eliminated the Lynx. The Lynx playing without their best player and their head coach, who was suspended for criticizing the officials the other day, Kevin Bowen. So that was a crazy story. All right, Major League Baseball.
Cheryl Reeve is nuts.
She is. She's like, I don't want to say the extreme, but yeah, she is her own brand of coaching basketball. The Milwaukee Brewers did beat the Reds 4-2 yesterday, but the Miami Marlins shut out the Mets 4-0. Can you imagine sports radio in New York today? The Mets need to win to even have a chance to get to the postseason. The Reds did lose, and you don't even score a run against the Miami Marlins, Kevin Bowen.
We should play the audio tomorrow, Mark. They left 1 million dudes on base, too, the Mets in that game. But the audio of the final out was so good. Just like them rehashing the epic collapse that they have had now to miss the postseason, how much money they've spent. Just all of it was just, oh, man, it was beautiful.
Second highest payroll in baseball, and you don't make the postseason.
There is a special kind of warm feeling I get when any New York team suffers a tough defeat or a complete meltdown. I don't know why that is, Kevin, but I just do.
Where are you going to go, Mark? They're going to Cancun. That's where they're going.
That's where they're going. I think I just saw Juan Soto and Yonkers.
All right, so we have 4 wild card games tomorrow, wild card games, I should say, in Major League Baseball tomorrow. Your Cubs play at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at home against the Padres. The Reds play a 9 p.m. game against the Los Angeles Dodgers out west. The Detroit Tigers and Cleveland Guardians will play at 1 o'clock, which is fitting because the Tigers completely and epically collapsed over the last 3 weeks of the season to allow the Guardians to win the American League Central and host this best-of-3 wild card series. And the Boston Red Sox will take on the New York Yankees. That one starts at 6 tomorrow night, to the delight of every ESPN executive in the history of ESPN executives.
Yeah, that matchup makes me want to throw up in my mouth. I'm like, really? We got to do this again?
Yeah. Europe held on to win the Ryder Cup yesterday. Anything else you want to throw in, Kevin?
Shout out to Fernando Mendoza, Elijah Surratt. That was quite the hookup there to avoid
49 yards.
The loss in Iowa City. Iowa got it to be an Iowa football game, but once that backup quarterback went in, felt pretty good about it, but still. Mendoza to Surratt. Special play. Again, I've said it in the opening hour. Surratt gives me some Michael Pittman Jr. vibes. Just tough as hell. Big time breaking that tackle and taking off for the TD.
And I do like the baseball-like Notre Dame pinstripe jersey today, too, after a 56-10 win.
This was a specific pull out of the closet for a reason. I thought, little baseball, little Notre Dame here on this Monday morning.
And you're still rocking a Speedway hat, too.
Still rocking.
I like it. All right, coming up in a minute, we will take more of your feedback, phone calls, texts. Mark, I believe we have Goats of the Week coming up in a moment, do we not?
Yep, we can do that as well.
All right, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan rolls on in a moment.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hope your Monday is going very well this morning. If you're an Indiana Fever fan or a Fever player or coach or front office person, you're having a great weekend because you stay alive and you got a win last night or yesterday in the afternoon against the Las Vegas Aces, and you're playing for one game, winner take all, a chance to go to the WNBA Finals on Tuesday night. If you're a Colts fan, you're probably a little uncomfortable this morning, Kevin. Maybe more than a little uncomfortable. Maybe you just got to get it off your chest and out of your system because that was tough.
Yeah, I think the frustration isn't as much big picture concern. It's as, damn, that was one that if you could have gotten it, I mean, it would have been the best wins the Colts have had in years to go on the road, beat a Hall of Fame quarterback, et cetera, et cetera. And you sit here and we're talking about 11 penalties and A.D. Mitchell's stupidity and Lou Anarumo. I would classify into that category as well. To me, 10 men is beyond egregious, particularly change of possession. I go back to the end of the first half, the 16-play drive. That was such just a backbreaker as well. So, again, I think it's frustrating from that sense of, like, without two of your quality players, you felt like you had a golden opportunity to win that game and really play from ahead. And now, for what it's worth, you are tied with Jacksonville standings-wise at 3-1.
Yeah. All right, Mark, let's get it underway. There was a lot of good. There's a lot of bad over the weekend and the past 7 days. We're here to put it all in perspective for you.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
Jordan, here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good!
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Or GOAT.
This guy sucks.
Of the week.
All right, the best and worst of the week. Mark Dykton, we almost never do this for you. I'm going to let you lead this off today, and you can get us going on the GOAT of the week.
Okay.
And we start negative, right, after a Colts loss? Isn't that what we typically do?
That's what we usually do.
Okay.
I actually have two, but I'll do my tie one here. Maybe I'll save the other one for later. Ties stink. Stayed up till past midnight to watch a 40-40 tie between the Cowboys and Packers last night. Not exactly the payoff I was hoping for after sacrificing sleep to watch the end of that game. So here's a thought going forward. You guys can tell me I'm an idiot, which you do regularly. But this is my thought after staying up past midnight to watch these 40-40 ties. It's very rare we see ties in the NFL, but here's the solution. If you get to a game last night where the Cowboys have a 3-point lead or have a lead of some sort with under a minute to go, the Packers then lose the ability to kick a field goal. They must go for the touchdown. So you cannot kick a field goal at that point. You have to try to score the TD. If there's a minute left, it becomes a running clock with no timeouts available for either team, barring ref stoppage for injury. If the game is still tied after the first overtime period, you go to a second overtime period with 5 minutes, and you start from your opponent's 40-yard line. First score wins. Am I an idiot? Am I a genius? Or that? Because I feel like, again, we don't come to these situations often where we're getting close to ties in the first place. So it's very rare that it's going to happen. But we can't be having ties in the NFL. It's dumb. It looks dumb in the standings. It looks dumb in the overall picture. And no one likes it.
Save this topic for July 10th.
No. This is my bad for the week because I lost sleep watching it.
Did you lose money?
No.
Okay.
You kind of lost me on the, you don't stop the clock in the final minute, a little bit on that. Are you heavily against the college football 2-point conversion thing?
I'd rather not do that.
Okay. I can listen to you, but what you just said initially sounded skeptical.
I'm just saying. It's very rare this happens.
I hate ties. Don't get me wrong. But I need a little bit more. Clean up your deck a little bit.
Here's my unpopular opinion.
Clean up your deck.
Okay.
Come back tomorrow with a little bit more polished PowerPoint for us.
This is an unpopular opinion. I've floated this before. Some people like it. Most people don't. I think you adopt a somewhat college-like overtime. Both teams get the ball at the 50-yard line, and you go.
I like playing out the 10-minute quarter, to Mark's point. Like, I'm good with what they're doing right now. And I don't want to see necessarily you immediately go to the 2-point or you immediately do what Jeff's doing there where you shrink the field a little bit there. So, okay, my negative GOAT of the weekend easily comes down to the dumb, stupid, idiotic, soft rule in the Ryder Cup that if you fake an injury, you get a half point. This was the dumbest thing in sports, and I'm glad it came to light yesterday. And it almost cost the United States the Ryder Cup. Now, Friday and Saturday, the U.S. looked like us three out there. It was absolutely awful golf, so they deserve what they got. But the fact that Victor Hovland for Team Europe can withdraw from the event, and both the Europeans and the U.S. get a half point, they split, they tie the match, Mark Dykton. That is beyond stupid. A, the U.S. should get the full point. Or, if you really want to say, hey, there shouldn't be a punishment for one team having an injured guy, have an alternate player ready to go. Each team has a 13th dude, and they go out there and play in the match. The fact that it almost came down to that half point for the U.S. and making an incredible comeback yesterday just sums up why sometimes golf pisses me off so much. I thought that rule was so stupid. There's Hovland partying afterwards. His neck looked pretty good to me. That man should have been in a Bobby Petrino neck brace in a wheelchair around Bethpage State Black yesterday if he really couldn't play.
Well, speaking of Bobby Petrino, you see they're launching coaches this morning.
He's back. He's on the Mount Rushmore of bad goats, in my opinion, Bobby Petrino. But my goat of the week, like Cheryl Reeve.
Oh, I love her. I love the energy.
She's nuts.
Oh, I love it.
She's nuts.
How's she your negative goat?
Because her team is down 2
She's
games to 1.
entertaining as hell.
Her team's down 2 games to 1 in a best-of-5 series, and she says remarks that she knows are going to get her suspended, with her best player already going to be missing the game with an injury. I get the fact that she wants to stick up for her players, but if I go down the line, the WNBA really has got to get their referee situation fixed, Kevin, because it has been atrocious all year long. Now, the Fever got the benefit of that yesterday. Aaliyah Boston had more free throws than the entire Las Vegas Aces team. I get that. She was very aggressive. She was deserving of a lot of those free throws. But WNBA officiating is by far any of the professional sports in America right now. It's by far the worst.
We got to go quick. Mark, my good goat, I love that the ACC has provided us with college football audio during replay reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Friday night, Virginia-Florida State was an awesome finish. I loved listening in to the catch, no catch between the officials on the field and their ACC crew. We rip officiating, i.e. Jeff just did it right there, endlessly. Great work by the ACC. I think it's awesome. I've enjoyed it. I've now seen it a couple weeks. And by the way, that Virginia field storm was one of the wilder field storms I've ever seen. Literally, as soon as the ball hit the ground, you had 3,000 people on the field. It's a miracle no one got hurt.
Mark?
My good goat is Puka Nacua. We've talked about all shows, so I'm going to say a double negative goat. The Titans are completely terrible, and they might be getting the top pick in 2026. Through 4 games, they're 0 for 4. They've scored a grand total of 51 points in those 4 games. That's an average of 12.75 points per game. 33 of those 51 points are from kicker Joey Sly. They're not even getting in the end zone, so the Titans are terrible.
Wait, I thought it was supposed to be a positive goat.
I know, I said that was Puka Nacua, and I quickly, since we're talking 3 hours about Puka Nacua, I went Titans terrible.
Got it.
All right. I'm going to go real quickly with Fernando Mendoza. Tough environment, tough situation, not having your best day, blitz is coming, guy in your face, and you find an open Elijah Surratt for it's a game-winning touchdown. I love when guys who've had tough days and things aren't going well and it's not your best day. I love when guys step up in the big moment and make it happen, Kevin. He's my go of the week.
Yeah, and I would hat tip Surratt as well.
He was wide open, yeah.
Well, it wasn't that open.
Well, it was a nice catch.
He broke the tackle and scampered the rest of the way. So big-time moment there for Kurt Schnetti's bunch.
He was NFL open, but he made a terrific catch. But, yeah, that's that. Like I said, I just love when guys have their backs to the wall and things aren't going well and they're in a tough spot and they succeed. All right, we are way over. My fault, but coming back in a minute, we'll get some more of your feedback, 239-1070 on the text line. Get your thoughts on the Colts and their loss to the Rams yesterday.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning, 27-20. Colts on the wrong end of a score against the Los Angeles Rams yesterday. They fall to 3-1. They'll try again against the Raiders on Sunday, but we'll be breaking this one down for the next hour and 10 minutes or so. Kevin got a couple of messages here. Direct message from Eric who says, can someone please tell Steichen to stop handing the ball off to JT in shotgun formation up the middle? It never works. Hand him the ball with Jones under center so he can get a running start, especially when Shane goes full conservative mode. You were worried about the little conservative play calling down the end there.
Yeah, right after that Mike Hilton fumble, and I think the Warren questionable pass interference penalty, definitely on him, it became 1st and 20, and they went just uber conservative playing for the field goal. And I thought that was a moment where if you get that to 2 scores, if you score a touchdown and stretch that lead to 2 scores, probably like 8-9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, boy, you're asking a lot, even out of Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, to come back in that game. So, yeah, I thought that was, weirdly, I feel like as aggressive as Steichen typically is, there's been some fourth quarter moments, the Denver game certainly comes to mind, where he's gotten really, really conservative, and it's been confusing. I felt that way about Curt Cignetti at the end of the first half on Saturday, not taking a timeout there to give them an extra possession. It's like you've got these big-time brash, obviously Cignetti's much more brash than Shane in a public setting, but you got these really confident, cocky coaches, and they get in these games, and at times it's like they go uber conservative. It's a little head-scratching to me.
Also, before we get to the phone lines here, Jack, kind of a theme of the morning, Kevin. Good morning, guys. Why would you not put Ward on Puka and live with the 30-plus-year-old Adams beating us? Puka's the best receiver in the league. Why is our CB1 not following him? And for those just joining us this morning, it's been something we've talked about all morning long. But for those who are just joining us, Kevin, run that one down again.
Yeah, I would agree. Not only Devontae Adams also missed practice twice this week with a hamstring injury, so there's some questions about how healthy he was. So, yeah, they had Mooney Ward, mainly shout out Devontae Adams. I think the thought there is they move Puka around a little bit more, harder to shadow him. But for me, when you got into the obvious situations, the third downs, the fourth downs, particularly in the second half, Puka, to use a James Boyd term, he hibachied you in the first half. At halftime, that, to me, was a moment where, all right, if we get in these obvious situations, again, red zone, third down, fourth down, we need to switch something up. And 4th and 2, the biggest play of the game, what is it? It's Xavier Howard in man coverage on Puka. Matthew Stafford, he probably thought he was seeing things when he got to the line of scrimmage. Like, wait, that's the matchup I'm going to get here on 4th and 2? The biggest play of the game? And very simple. Just easy little slant, pitch and catch. Puka does the rest. So, yeah, that is, when we talk about the issues from yesterday, yes, A.D. Mitchell has dominated the conversation this morning. Lou Anarumo is pretty close second.
All right, thanks for the text, 239-1070. Let's go to the phone lines now. John joins us as we finish up this 8 o'clock hour. John, your thoughts are on display now. Go for it, my man.
Guys, love the show. Hey, we need an Aaron Rodgers relax. It's game 4, and this is really good film for a team that's trying to learn how to win. And for Puka to get all of that, Stafford to throw all that, they were still only down by 1 score. They only lost by 1 score. At what point in the season should you be expecting a team to play flawless football? I know we want them to play flawless football, but they can watch every aspect of the game. They can watch the film and see where they can improve, and they still had a chance to win. The story would be totally different. Puka, he got 170 yards receiving, but they still could have lost. But then all of the mistakes, they got that close to beating a good team. They can write a formula now for what it takes to beat a good team. I'm going to say this.
Hey, John, real quickly, you sound like a very smart, level-headed guy. Take a step back, look at everything, evaluate, move on. What would you say what would your conversation with A.D. Mitchell sound like today?
He messed up. But I like what they said about him, But see, this is one thing that I understand about the game. Is that a lot of things that happened yesterday will probably never, ever happen again. and you put whatever mistakes you made behind you, and you try to move forward. But that film session this morning should be brutal. I mean, it should be brutal for everybody, the coaching staff, for the scouts, for the team, for the defense. And another thing.
Thank you, John, for the call.
We're up against the clock, but man, he sounds like a level-headed, smart guy, right there.
Yeah, I would push back on the last part though about so much of this you can just kind of sweep under the rug there. Specifically, they're not going to do some of the stuff again. They've done the Xavier Howard thing again.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it again for 4 weeks, and they kind of banked on that to start the season. So that's where I think is the frustrating aspect of it. You went toe-to-toe, and there is a lot of good big picture, but the immediate aftermath, it stings because you felt like so much of your own self-infliction, so much of your own stupidity, the A.D. Mitchell stuff. Again, Lou Anarumo, 10 guys on the field coming out of a change of possession. Like that, I think, is the frustrating element to it of, yes, you had a lot of good, but still it was sitting there on a platter, and it's not like the Rams had heroics to beat you. It was a lot of your own self-doing.
All right, coming up in a moment, more of your phone calls and feedback. We'll also continue to break down not only the Colts win, or the Colts loss, but the Fevers win is where I was headed there. It's just wishful thinking on a Monday morning, Mark. I can't fully wrap my head around the entire fourth quarter for the Colts yesterday, but we'll do our best next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I love Scott Johnston. Have I ever said that publicly? I love our own man, Scott Johnston. He just handed me the back page of the New York Post. Amazing disgrace. $340 million Mets left red-faced as last loss Caps collapse. Puts Cincy in playoffs, Kevin. For you, my friend. Right there.
Probably the video that I really, really should not have laughed at yesterday that I saw was obviously the Mets and the trombone action. That's a very popular
Tommy Trombone, is that his name? Tommy Trumpet.
Timmy Trumpets, thank you, Mark. They spliced taps over the playing of that trumpet. Again, I didn't want to laugh at it.
I did.
But I definitely cracked a smile.
Nothing. I don't know what I'm happier about, that the Reds actually get in the postseason or they did it at the expense of a New York team.
Don't look now, but here come the Red Legs.
That's what I'm talking about. So a little joy in our morning between that and the fever, right? Before we have to talk about the Colts, who lose 27-20.
IU football, Notre Dame football. Purdue didn't lose this weekend.
It was a pretty good weekend. Purdue did not lose. Did you see Todd's passive-aggressive text about Purdue?
I did not know. What did he say?
Oh, he's talking about how basically Indiana got lucky. They should have gone the way of the Colts. Basically, I'll look up the exact text, but it was very passive-aggressive. Look at Purdue, didn't screw up kind of thing.
That sounds jealous.
Completely jealous. You know which one I'm talking about, Mark? No. All right, we'll find it coming up in a minute here. Oh, here.
Can you imagine complaining about IU football getting a road Big Ten win? I mean, it shows you the times that we are in. Honestly, old Indiana loses that game 1,000 times out of 1,000.
He says the Colts played like Iowa did on Saturday. Both probably should have won, but got in their own way.
I thought the announcers were lying to us when they said that Iowa quarterback had played at Auburn. That dude looked like couldn't play at Iowa City High.
All right, but the Colts did lose 27-20. Lots to get to there. Kevin, for those just joining us here in the 9 o'clock hour, thanks for being here. For those of us who've been with us all morning, we appreciate however you're listening and that you've been listening this long. It's always fun for us to hash it all out with you guys on a Monday morning, win, lose, draw, whatever. But your big bullet points for the day, Kevin.
Well, again, in the small picture, immediate aftermath, A.D. Mitchell's stupidity is what stands out the most. Big picture, my question is, will Lou Anarumo continue to trot out Xavier Howard like he's his boss's son on the travel baseball team? Because that's how it's been through the first 4 weeks. Xavier Howard has no business playing right now for the Colts. So whether it's more Jonathan Edwards, whether it's Mekhi Blackman as an outside corner, whether Jalen Jones gets back this week, you have to explore some other things there in the secondary. I know Geno Smith, certainly Mark saw yesterday, probably not going to test you a whole lot, but still, that would be a big question mark I would have. And again, I think that's what is frustrating. It's like you felt like you beat yourself so much. The 11 penalties, the 16-play drive right before half, all of that, I think, was really, really frustrating to it. Obviously, the Mitchell plays kind of speak for themselves there. And again, big picture, you're 3-1 after the first quarter of the season. You went toe-to-toe with a great team. You, right now, without two of your marquee players, you hung in there really, really well. And easily, could have, I guess, been 4-0. Granted, week 2, certainly you got gifted that one there. But still, 3-1, big picture. There's a lot to feel good about with the Colts. But as we sit here, less than 24 hours after that one ended, it just stings in the way that it unfolded, and your own stupidity is what I keep on coming back to.
Yeah, we're going to get to Shane Steichen in a moment here, but waiting for quite some time now. Derek is on the phone at 239-1070. Good morning, Derek. Your chance to get it off your chest. Go ahead.
Well, good morning, fellas. Thanks for taking my call. When I called, Mark asked me what I wanted to talk about, and I said, what do you think? I want to talk about the freaking Ryder Cup.
Well, let's go.
No, I'm just joking. Real quick, a couple of things. His name is not Puka Nacua, it's Puka Nacua because he makes me want to puke every time I see him run on us. Alex Pierce just made a lot of money just by sitting on the sidelines and watching A.D. Mitchell. Ryman was a turnstile, if you agree with me on that one. And the last thing I'll say, do you think James Boyd was sitting in first class sipping on a mimosa when he called it?
That's how I pictured it. That's how I pictured it.
Yeah, Mark points out, yes, virgin mimosa on that one right there. Thank you, Derek. Yeah, I'm nodding my head at a lot of it. Yeah, Alec Pierce's agent, if the Colts are going to be... And we talked a little bit about this late last week. For those that care, and maybe not everybody does, Sunday was a huge opportunity for A.D. Mitchell's future. Alec Pierce doesn't get hurt very often. Now, unfortunately, he has had multiple concussions, but he doesn't miss a lot of games in a season. That might be the only time Mitchell gets a chance to play 55 snaps in a game or whatever the
and he
total
could have gotten
was.
himself a larger role had he made that big play.
And also the Colts will have some decisions at some point. Okay, how much money are you going to spend on Daniel Jones? Mm-hmm. Again, these are huge debates that have massive financial ramifications, probably not great ones on September 29th, but what a moment for A.D. Mitchell yesterday to try to show growth and maturation, et cetera, and then that unfolds in the manner that it does. Mark, let's go ahead and play that audio from yesterday. Let's start with the Mitchell audio. We'll play some Shane Steichen as well. This is A.D. Mitchell on what transpired yesterday.
Couldn't really process it, kind of in the moment. Really still can't process it, to be real. So I just gotta, everything is, the whole play happened, because of me. The only way I'm gonna be able to get forward is, just growing as a player, as a person.
And then this was Shane Steichen when asked about it to lead off yesterday's press conference.
It's hard to explain in that situation, but we got a lot of faith in AD, and this is a bump in the road for him, and he's going to bounce back. And we got a lot of confidence in his abilities.
Jeff, you think they should have benched him?
I don't know. They had a choice, and they, I think I would have taken him off the field. When he was wandering by himself, I know Fox made a big deal out of it, but when he was wandering by himself 5 yards behind the huddle right after that, it's a clear sign to everybody else, just like it was clear something was off on that 10 men on the field. Is anybody paying attention from up in the booth? Like, he's not even part of a huddle right now. Where is his head?
Well, and watching him attempt to block that Rams corner on the Jonathan Taylor big run, that looked like a dude that's head was in no place.
Because he was late to the point of contact was part of the reason.
Right, and that looks like a guy that's head was nowhere near where it needed to be to execute a very fundamental aspect to playing the wide receiver position outside of making tremendous catches, which obviously he made on that touchdown. I think I would have benched him for the next series or two and put Doolin in there.
Just to give him a chance to get his own head together.
Yeah, that's I think that would have been fair. As you move forward to this week, do you make him inactive for a week? I can't act like him and Jonathan Taylor are apples to apples in those same situations. Taylor's track record is far, far, far different than A.D. Mitchell. So I can't sit here and say that each of those are the same. But, this was a question you had with Mitchell exiting Texas. I've brought up this stat quite often about A.D. Mitchell. In college, Jeff, he played in 5 college football playoff games. Georgia is where he started his career, then went to Texas. He caught a touchdown in all 5 of those games. Think about that. The biggest stage you can be on as a college player.
Unmistakable.
You catch a touchdown pass in all 5 of those games. If you look at those games, he had 7 total catches outside of those touchdowns. So you're telling me a dude talented enough to score a touchdown in every single college football playoff game he plays in, 5 of them, isn't able to have more than 7 total catches outside of that? And I think we've seen that play out here in 2 years here. It's the flash. It's the, oh my gosh, he can do this, but you can't rely on him to offer trustworthy consistency, anything else, the rest of the game. If you look at it earlier this year, when the Colts have been healthy at wideout, A.D. Mitchell's averaged 11 snaps in the whole game. 15 snaps in 7. Like, when healthy, they don't play him a lot. Now, when he's out on the field, they throw it to him. Remember the Denver game.
Because he finds himself open.
Deep ball shot when Patrick Surtain is guarding him. So, and clearly Daniel Jones, if you go back and watch that 3rd and 4, it's not like A.D. Mitchell was open there. That was simply Daniel Jones and the Colts saying, if we get man coverage here with A.D., we trust him to go up and make a play. And now you just hope that he doesn't drop the ball on the goal line.
I do feel obligated to say that we should do the A.D. Mitchell catch counter. We have updated totals. Okay. He did have his best output of the season, 3 catches, which puts his season total at
7.
There you go.
Well, it's going to be a big second half.
So 7 catches through 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm. He needs an average of like 5.61 catches per game now.
Oh, well, that seems doable.
Yeah.
73 to go.
Mm-hmm. Plenty of time.
Let's go. Let's go.
And again, the reason why I thought that comment from Jeff was as stupid as A.D. Mitchell dropping the ball on the goal line is because you can't trust him to be on the field enough to do that. Like, when I would push back, I'd say, who is he taking snaps from? Like, Alec Pierce is not committing that holding penalty. Michael Pittman Jr. is not committing that penalty, or not so far out of position that they feel the need to try and make up for it, which is exactly what Mitchell did.
My hope was that the talent would come together and he would just demand playing time. But that hasn't happened at all, and I don't think it's probably going to happen.
What's stupider, Mitchell dropping the ball on the goal line or the Colts having 10 men on the field?
I would say the Colts having 10 men on the field, and I'll tell you why. With A.D. Mitchell, it's a singular one person. I thought I was over the goal line, but I'm not, or I'm trying to switch my hands from right to left, whatever. It's just a dumb mistake. How can the other 10 guys and entire coaching staff and the guys up in the booth not see, with 3 timeouts remaining in a tie game with less than 3.5 minutes to go? How can they not? How can someone? You got how many guys and staff personnel on the sideline? You
How many
probably
sets
got
of eyes are out
6
there?
or 8 up in
Yeah.
the booth. You got 10 in the huddle.
Yeah.
How does someone not see that?
Yeah, I agree with both of you in saying, like, the amount of eyes that are on that. And again, as I've said all morning long, I think what is uber frustrating, and for those that weren't watching, Fox actually counted all 10 of them out there, but the Colts had 10 men on the field on the 2-2 Atwell 88-yard touchdown. I believe Mike Hilton, that's my best guess, the new corner, should have been the 11th guy, assuming the Colts are in their dime personnel grouping. Xavier Howard was on the field. He was one of the 10. Insert your joke there. But to me, the fact that that occurred out of a change of possession. I mean, we all watch it. The defense kind of jogs out on the field. You know, all of a sudden the ref, puts the ball down, then starts the play clock. That was after a punt. So think about, to your guy's point, all the defensive coaches up there in the booth, you know, or I don't know, you know, I'm not maybe
I'm counting him again as we speak. So yeah,
Cam Bynum shouldn't be, you know, in charge of counting all 11 guys every play, but it's just amazing that in that moment you had 10 men on the field and you had 3 timeouts, and obviously no one saw it on the sideline because they showed an overhead shot of the sideline. No one is, you know, in any sort of urgent panic state to try and alert someone of only 10 guys out there. So that was just, boy, I say quite often, the Colts are usually the smartest or the smarter team, and they certainly were not that yesterday.
Well,
and the
you
Rams
said
had a
that-
ton of penalties too.
You said you thought Mike Hilton would have been the other guy if they're in their dime package. Technically, with 10 out there, they were in their dime package. Thank you.
Oh, Mark, that was horrible.
What are you talking
He's
about?
just feeling himself because
What are you
the
talking
Bears
about?
got to win on the road
No,
yesterday.
they didn't. That tells you how bad the Raiders were. The Bears should have had 40 points in that game, and they shot themselves in the foot time and time again. And Max Crosby was legit a one-man wrecking crew for the majority of that game. So, Colts triple team Max Crosby, keep Ashton Genty in check, and Geno Smith will throw it to you. That's all you need to know for Sunday. That's your preview.
Shout out to the Colts pass rush. I thought that was a positive from yesterday. 3 sacks, 9 hits. We mentioned DeForest Buckner earlier. Adetomiwa Adebare, I thought had some moments, kind of rotational defensive tackle. Latu, I thought was good early. Would have liked to have seen him a little bit better late. And we continue to see Kwity Paye be hardly any sort of a pass rush threat, which is particularly frustrating for a former first-round pick in a contract year.
And having not gone back yet and looked at it again, I would guess that some of the Latu stuff not being as effective late, probably the Rams started doing some different things, saying, hey, we're probably going to have to pay attention to this just a little bit. And maybe that had something to do with it. But it was there to be taken yesterday, Kevin Bowen.
What did you think of Daniel Jones yesterday? I know we've not talked a ton about him.
I think your grade was, you gave him a C-. I'd probably give him a C. I mean, he made some nice plays. He got them out of some trouble spots, but he also put them in some trouble spots. The last interception, I didn't think was that great. The first one, I want to go back and look at it all again. But he didn't. He wasn't.
A lot of blame towards A.D. Mitchell there for that interception.
Yeah, but
are we just blaming Mitchell for everything?
I want to go back. I think people are just mad at A.D.
No, the
Mitchell.
Gatorade was lukewarm.
Yeah, A.D. should have brought some ice. That's one of those plays sometimes. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at it. Were his feet off as he was coming around to try and get up and get the ball? Did he not go up high enough to get it? Did Daniel Jones try to force it into a spot that it shouldn't have been? I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at it again because I've looked at it 2-3 times, but I don't know.
Yeah, Daniel Jones said afterwards felt like he should have led A.D. Mitchell more towards the sideline. I think I would agree on that. We've gotten a couple Jones questions. Maybe it's a topic we can get into kind of as the week moves along, but you always say this about quarterbacks. You eventually start to tier them out. And what tier are you striving to find? Are you going to be content with a tier 3 quarterback? Or are you going to try and shoot for the moon a little bit more? I thought it was the most under duress Jones has been all season. And I say that from a pass rush standpoint. I say that from a pass coverage standpoint. I thought the Rams had a lot of tight windows. And then lastly, you were behind the chains easily the most you've been all season long. So, yeah.
So a lot of that had to do with self-inflicted penalties, though, too.
Right. Again, I'm not blaming Jones for that, or I should probably be clear on that. I thought the last pick just wasn't – I didn't think you needed to play hero ball at that point of the drive. I thought with a minute to go, 3 timeouts, you had Jonathan Taylor on a check down. It was a 1st and 10 or 1st and 15 maybe after the false start. I don't think you needed to be acting like it was Hail Mary time there, and I thought he – acted like that.
If you look at the other quarterback, too, Matthew Stafford, even before the 88-yard touchdown pass to Atwell, dude still had 287 yards passing before that play. He was terrific.
I mean, Stafford was at his best on the final drive of the first half, and then that touchdown drive to Puka.
I think that was his
4th and 2.
49th or 50th fourth quarter rally to win a football game.
Gosh, and he was favoring a lot of stuff throughout that game.
37, I think. I'll go back and look at it. But the point is, the dude comes up, and we're talking about Fernando Mendoza an hour ago. Matthew Stafford, especially the second half of his career, you don't want to give him the ball with less than 2 minutes to go because he gets it done. First half, second half.
So the Bernhard Raimann play yesterday, was that blip on the radar or cause for concern?
Yeah, I think he's earned the right to not act like it's a huge snowball, huge avalanche. Max Crosby lines up opposite the right tackle mostly, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah,
Although he was all over the field. I mean, they were lining up wherever he could get space yesterday.
Yeah. So that'd be something obviously to keep an eye on for Sunday. But obviously Jared Verse makes a big-time play in that moment. And again, that's where you have to get into these non-obvious passing situations. That was wasn't that like a 1st and 20, 2nd and 20 when Verse stripped Jones there? So, certainly not one of Ryman's better games. But I think in his career, he has kind of earned benefit of the doubt. But, something to just watch moving forward here. I did think you noticed Dalton Tucker in there at right guard a little bit more. And I think what was bothersome about the pressure on Jones, they did so much of that just with a 4-man rush. Now, they moved guys around. I mean, Verse threw Tanner Bortolini out of the club on one of those right at the middle there. So
that might be kind.
Yeah, that was, oh boy. Yeah, pray for the Bortolini family on that one.
Just to put this into perspective, Matthew Stafford, that was his 39th fourth quarter comeback. He is first among all active quarterbacks. But listen to this. Brady leads everybody with 46, then Peyton with 43. Brady did it in 22 years. This is Matthew Stafford's 17th. He's probably, if he plays another 5 years, he's probably going to blow by that mark. He might be the all-time leader in fourth quarter come from behind wins.
Yes, I said it to James Boyd last week when he questioned Matthew Stafford's Hall of Fame candidacy. There's no question it whatsoever. He is definitely in Canton.
All right, let's check it down, Mark.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Get back your phone calls coming up in a minute, but of course the Colts lose 27-20 to the Los Angeles Rams yesterday. Where do we start with the mistakes, Kevin Bowen? Do we start with Adonai Mitchell? Is that where we start?
Yeah, I mean, start there. Obviously, Xavier Howard, too. And again, Lou Anarumo. I thought one of the most egregious moments of yesterday was 4th and 2. The game is on the line. Rosie Bowen is yelling anybody but Puka. and all of a sudden it's Xavier Howard opposite Puka. And, they didn't even bring him in motion. They didn't even do anything to dress it up. They just had Puka and Devontae Adams over to the left. Matthew Stafford's foaming at the mouth. Simple slant. I mean, a route that he had burned you on so often. Oh, man, that one. So frustrating.
Also, pretty decent day for the Rams running the ball, too. They ran for 102 yards, but the favorable matchups on the outside for passing were there all day long. It's probably why they had 41 pass attempts.
The Rams really got going early. Kyron Williams had a lot of productive runs early.
I saw a lot of Blake Corum yesterday.
Yeah, he did play a decent amount. I thought the run defense got a little better as the game moved along. And again, I did think the Colts pass rush was a strength yesterday, which is not something we've said so far. So 3-1 through the first quarter. You would have signed up for that. You got the three most important wins, three of them being against the AFC, and right now it's Colts and Jags tied atop the AFC South.
All right, speaking of the Jaguars, they got a big win on the road against the San Francisco 49ers, 26-21. Other divisional games, it was team against team. Houston Texans, 26, and the Titans, nothing in Houston. A get-right game for the Texans, their first win of the year, and maybe the Titans really are that bad.
Yes, they are that bad.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Narrator's voice. They are that bad.
Cam Ward said they were ass, is what he said.
Very good description.
Yeah.
Succinct to the point.
Indiana Fever, though. Lots of good news there. They win Game 4 at the Fieldhouse yesterday by a score of 90-83 over the Las Vegas Aces. And the two big guns came up big. Aaliyah Boston, 24 points, 14 boards, 11 of 13 from the free throw line. Kelsey Mitchell had 25 points. Lexi Hull seemed to be Johnny on the spot late with 7 rebounds, 4 steals coming up at big times. This is one of those weird games. Fever had a slender lead, like 2 to 5 or 6 points for most of the game. And occasionally Vegas would take like a 1-point lead, but the Fever were consistent all day yesterday.
Yeah, slipping back and forth, some big moments late. Obviously, the Mitchell 3-point play. I thought Aaliyah Boston's defense on Asia Wilson needs to get proper due as well. So you've now put all the pressure back on Las Vegas. Those in Vegas to do the gambling thing, they like the Aces big time tomorrow night, but just apply game pressure. Get to the fourth quarter, make them have some nervy moments, see if they can deliver against you. And obviously we've seen Kelsey Mitchell having a heroic performance once in this series out there. We'll see if she can do it tomorrow night. Winner take all. Winner to the WNBA Finals against the Phoenix Mercury.
All right, that'll be Tuesday night, as Kevin said. All right, number 11 Indiana at the time beat Iowa 20-15, and number 22 Notre Dame at the time rolled over Arkansas 56-13. Got their coach fired after the game.
Oh, I loved it. The Irish just steamrolling an SEC. How about that? Going on the road, beat an SEC team by 43 points. How many college football programs have done that? Here, all this talk about Notre Dame's schedule. They go on the road in the SEC, win by 43.
Love it. Love it. Indiana moves up to number 8 in the AP poll. They are number 9 in the coaches poll right now. Notre Dame had started the week ranked 22nd. They move up to number 21 in the AP poll and number 21 in the coaches poll as well. They still got some work to do if they want to fight back into the playoff picture, although I did see a couple of computer models that still had Notre Dame listed as a potential to get in.
No, unfortunately, those are not at play here. But yes, Notre Dame's got a ton of work to do. They've got to run the table and going to need some help here. So this week, college football, Indiana off before the trip to Eugene against the Ducks in what should be college game day. I don't know. Someone mentioned the Red River shootout potentially. Mm-hmm. That would be it. Purdue's got Illinois as a 10-point underdog in Ross-Ade, and Notre Dame has got Boise State up in South Bend.
All right, Major League Baseball. The postseason is here, Mark Dykton.
Yes, it is.
Everybody gets in except for the Mets.
Everybody. Not allowed. No. Get out.
The Reds did lose to the Brewers 4-2 yesterday, but so did the Mets. They lost 4-0 to the Marlins. And, Kevin, what does that mean?
Don't look now. But here come the Red Legs.
Look at that.
You were late, Mark.
I thought he was going to add a new one. I thought he was going to give me new stuff, and he went down his leg.
Don't look now, but here come the Red Legs.
All right, tomorrow night, is that when we're starting it?
Yep, tomorrow night.
You're going to have 2 TV night there, too. Reds, Dodgers, and Fever Aces.
Boy, tomorrow night to brew the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
9 o'clock first pitch for the Reds and Dodgers?
Yeah, 9:30.
9:30 for the Fever?
I'm going to have to get a nap tomorrow.
You'll have to.
Yeah, Cubs and Padres started off at 3 o'clock tomorrow. After actually, Tigers and Guardians started off at 1. Then the Padres and Cubs at 3. It'll be Red Sox, Yankees at 6. And then the Reds and Dodgers at 9 o'clock. At least one of the two, Red Sox or Yankees, will get eliminated in the first wave of playoffs at that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you guys want to throw in over the weekend? I know you got some golf that you watched yesterday.
Yeah, Ryder Cup was just wild. Again, dumbest rule in sports. Victor Hovland and the Europeans getting a half point. Why are the Europeans such better? They're such better putters than we are, and they're such better chanters than we are. All their songs and all their chants sound great, and all of ours sound forced.
What was the celebration for them right after? Who was it? Shane Lowry hit that last putt. Did you see him kind of hopping and jumping around and jigging? What was that all about?
Yeah, he honestly looked like one of us.
He was jiggling. He was hopping around. He was doing all kinds of things.
Well, there's a lot
man.
of things jiggling, but yep. Shane Lowry, hell of a putt there on the 18th.
All right. Anything else before we wrap it up here? All right. Back to feedback, phone line, text, you name it. We'll do it next, including Mark. I've got one from X that was sent to all of us today about somebody who might have missed a bet yesterday. We'll talk about that as we continue next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
107.5 The Fan.
Good morning, such as it is. Lots to talk about and some good with the Indiana Fever and some college football. And the bad, obviously, yesterday, the Indianapolis Colts losing 27-20. Did you want to get to some of the listener headlines today, Mark? Because I know you've said that there have been some pretty good ones. Kevin, if you had to just on the fly, on the spot, think of a headline for this past weekend of the Colts specifically, what would yours be?
Stupidity dooms Colts.
Well, let's make it official.
Read all about it. I can't read it. There's no words on it.
I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world tonight.
Ripped from the headlines of the newspaper.
We'll do it live.
Post-game headlines.
Thing sucks.
You'd be shocked to know that in these post-game headlines that I post after every Colts game, win or lose, say give us your best 5-word headline. You'd be shocked to know that a lot of them were A.D. Mitchell related. And boy, the puns using AD and all that stuff, outstanding.
People are really funny.
Like when people are pissed off, creativity just flows.
Gosh, it is unbelievable. Like before taking tests in high school, we should have gotten everybody mad and see how their creative brain was working then.
Like Scotty, a Colts guy, just had a couple just brilliant zingers. You have to, AD is in quotes, but says AD, like addition, should be by subtraction. I thought that was very well done.
Okay.
And that's 5 words. Great work by Scotty and staying within the boundaries.
He also said need ADs for good receivers and need ads for good wide receivers. I like that one. We also had some other solid ones. Well, somebody took a shot at Jeff and said, how's that AD prediction going? Not great, not good. We'll see how that goes.
The sad part is that sounds like someone's reveling in the fact that I'm wrong.
Maybe. What was the other one? Honestly, AD, what to say, Jeremy. What else did we? I'm trying to find the other ones. There was another one that said Colts got Mitchelled. Aaron says Colts nut punching themselves for loss. I think he tried to make nut punching a one-word situation.
I got a couple of favorites. Jeff, you got any over there?
Mine that I came up with was Nita Mitchell, call Kelsey.
That's not bad. She's awesome.
This one here from Aaron, send X to Cancun. I believe that's an Xavier Howard reference there. And this from Jason, Mitchell helps Pierce Inc. contract. Yes, I would say a very good day for Alec Pierce in the old contract year, given A.D. Mitchell's effort.
Did we get an update on Alec Pierce at the end of the week last week? I know he didn't play, obviously, but is he trending in the right direction? Or
yeah, you never really know. With concussions, he was at the facility and chatting and, seemed to be in good spirits and all of that, but he did not practice at all. So, typically with him, I believe the concussion history has been just kind of 1 week for him. I will say, boy, I hate to see it every week, but, watching that London game or the Dublin game, Ryan Kelly out with a concussion. He's had a lot of concussions, and I think one early in his career sat him out for about a month. So anytime you see that for a player, you obviously hate it, particularly one that has played as much ball as Ryan Kelly and is getting older in his career with young kids, all of that. So hopefully the best for Ryan Kelly.
Couple more that I saw. Aaron says Jeff's boy cost the Colts. Yes, he did. There was also,
I love the fact that it's my fault now.
Holly said AD equals awful disaster. And then Ebert24 says, was Gus Bradley calling defense?
Ooh. Kind of looked like it near the end there, didn't it, Kevin?
Again, I asked you guys last segment what was stupider, A.D. Mitchell dropping the ball at the goal line or the Colts having 10 men on the field. The Gus Bradley reference, that might be more into the first half. 96-yard touchdown. Rigoberto Sanchez shows off his wizardry, I should say. That punt goes out of bounds at the 4. Just beautiful execution there. And the Rams go 96 yards. I thought that was one of the big circle moments. Obviously, when Mitchell drops the ball at the goal line, the holding penalty, you have 10 men on the field, et cetera, et cetera. There are a lot of second half moments we've talked about today, but 96 yards against you, that I thought really changed so much of what that first half was about there. That, I think, is what the Gus Bradley reference is probably specific to him, and letting Puka Nacua have a career game.
That's the other part about it. Like,
that was the best game of his career, by the way, for total receiving yardage.
But it's the Colts were just doing the same thing over and over and over and over. That's the frustrating part about that, right?
Yes, and again, to get back to it, that's the big issue I had of you go in at halftime, Puka's got 7 for 115, something like that. I mean, he's already torched you. And if I'm Shane Steichen as the head coach, that to me is a golden moment to say to Lou Anarumo, hey, I understand we might not be able to change the every single snap plan for Puka Nacua here in the second half, but when the big moments arise, 3rd down, 4th down, red zone, we need to change it. We need to get either Mooney Ward on him. We need to have Cameron Bynum over the top. We need to have Nick Cross, some sort of bracket coverage. Something along those lines needs to be there, and it was certainly not there at all yesterday.
When you think about, there was 170 yards receiving, so obviously the combo between Stafford and Nacua was off the charts. But that was just part of the story. The Colts allowed, Kevin, did you see the final number? 462 yards of total offense. You're not going to win many road games when the other team racks up 462 yards of total offense.
No, not at all. And again, some of those Rams drives early on, I thought they were kind of stymied by, and then the Colts had a few of these too, just big penalties in the red zone too that kind of halted those drives there.
Well, to your point too about just the offense in general, and I guess by extension Daniel Jones having a rough day, only 333 yards of total offense for the Colts. And remember, one of those, that includes the 75 yards of offense that was the A.D. Mitchell play before he dropped the ball at the goal line. So you take that one play away, which you can't do, obviously. But there was some tough sledding for the Colts yesterday.
And I guess I want to be clear on Daniel Jones. Fine. Slightly below average. Rough day to me sounds a little bit harsher. He looked like a guy that I probably wouldn't want as my franchise quarterback, but through the first 3 weeks, he looked like a guy that you would want probably as your franchise quarterback. So that's a great thing about an NFL season. You get so many of these sample sizes, you add them all up at the end of the year, and you make bigger evaluations, more concrete evaluations as of that. So, you probably won't play a team like this for a couple of weeks. What is it, Charger? Boy, the Chargers suffered a big injury too with Joe Alt going down. You're going to be heavy favorite over the Raiders. I assume you'll be a favorite definitely over the Cardinals. And you get both these West Coast teams on 10 a.m. kick times, right? I think I said to you guys in studio, watch out for the Giants. Predicting NFL can be weird.
Where did that come from other than the NFL can be weird?
10 a.m. kick time for the Chargers. Yeah. Travel cross country. I think that stuff's real.
Jackson Dart had that first game start juice going.
Have you seen USC try to play football in the Big Ten on the road? They lose seemingly every game.
You know who has done well in the Big Ten, though? I think Oregon's done pretty well in the Big Ten, traveling back.
Yeah, Oregon's talent level slightly different.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
And again, what time did that game kick off?
Yeah.
5 p.m. local time. Yeah. So you get these noon, you get the 1 o'clockers. Colts have a great schedule advantage here the next 2 weeks. Raiders, Cardinals, both of these 1 o'clock home kick times.
All right, we'll wrap it up with a couple of final comments from you all as we head down the stretch here on the Fan Morning Show after a Monday. Not as excited as we were last week, but at least we saw
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's Fan Morning Show coming down the stretch here. Kevin Bowen, Jeff Rickard, James Boyd on an airplane today. He called us from first class, sipping on a Virgin Daiquiri, I think, this morning, leaving Los Angeles about 4:30, 4:45 their time, Mark.
Eating some biscottis, too.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. I used to, when I was traveling all the time doing play-by-play, I used to just stock up on those things for the week, man.
What an effort by James Boyd in calling us from the aircraft. I mean, that's traveling 101, what not to do, but he's that loyal to us.
They gave him the pin because he visited the front of pilots. They gave him the pin. He was sitting down, and, didn't whack his elbows on the beverage cart.
Didn't flush the lavatory mid-combo.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing that you would not make that phone call for us?
I can't say I've ever done a radio interview from an airplane.
I have.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you guys are...
You try not to be too obtrusive. And I have been, like, if the person seems like they're decent, nice next to you, you're like, hey, I got to do a quick radio thing real quick. I'm sorry, I'll keep it as brief and as quiet as I can. So something like that. Just let people know what's going on.
No, I make a big deal about it. Like, do you know how important I am doing a radio interview right now?
Can you ever get on the loudspeaker?
Kind of a big deal.
I know you're trying to sleep right now there, ma'am, but I got to do this phone interview. It has to happen.
Yeah, not to mention it was like 4:40 out there.
Anyway, thanks to James Boyd for stopping by. I did some very quick Google research during the break there, Kevin, and according to a site called BTB Analytics, the theory that West Coast teams struggle when they travel east for games has been debunked by recent data. It had been that way up until about 2015, but after that point in time, West Coast teams have covered at roughly a 50-50 clip, meaning no real advantage for bettors fading them blindly.
Well, won me some money yesterday.
That's good. I wonder if finally coaches kind of got hip to it and started figuring out ways to combat it over the last few years. Because I used to feel like that was a thing, especially in the NFL.
So what would you do, just practice at 10 a.m. local time?
I think, you get your body on a certain clock and do those kinds of things.
Well, we'll see where the Raiders are at. Mark Dykton sounded like Geno Smith was, to use Cam Ward's description, yesterday.
Yes,
Would that
he
be
was
fair
bad
to describe him that way?
Yeah. Again, the Bears probably left 3 touchdowns off the board just because they had they shot themselves in the foot multiple times over. But if the Colts are any more competent than that, they should roll on Sunday. Because
Ashton
Geno
Genty
Smith
showed up, though.
I'm sorry?
Ashton Genty showed up.
He did show up. He showed up, and Max Crosby. That's what I said. Triple team Max Crosby, if the offensive line, and then Ashton Genty just stacked the box. Make Geno Smith try to beat you, and he won't. Because I think he's second in the league in most interceptions outside of Joe Flacco. So you're going to the gate with Geno Smith in 2025. You probably deserve what's coming to you.
Brock Bowers do anything?
Not really. He showed up. He had a couple blips, but that was when Geno Smith actually found a Raider wide receiver downfield, which was rare air, literally. Because usually it was going to a Bears defender or they're putting it on the ground. But Max Crosby, he could give you some fits because they were putting him all over the field, and he was just finding ways to get to the quarterback and just disrupt timing and everything like that. He was a madman out there.
How do we feel about Pete Carroll and coaching? What did you see yesterday? Is he just devoid of talent right now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Ashton Genty hadn't done anything until yesterday.
He's
Obviously,
a rookie.
Max Crosby, but you feel for Max Crosby because he's so good, and he's just on a crap Raiders team. But yeah, I mean, they don't really have much outside of those two guys right now.
I always feel, Kevin, it's kind of unfair to judge rookies in the NFL till the second half of their rookie season because a lot of them are still just figuring out where to line up sometimes.
Yeah, I think the Colts, I thought I saw a touchdown favorite right around there. That seems to be a very accurate favorite here. So probably one of your on-paper easier games of the schedule.
Mark, we always kind of joke and make fun of gambling and what's going on. Our buddy Steve sent us both a message on X that said, you feel for the guy last week that had the A.D. Mitchell plus 1,800 anytime touchdown.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. And as soon as they brought that up, I was like, oh, my God, that guy probably had to be sick to his stomach more than A.D. Mitchell had.
I was thinking about, too, those that had Indiana 6.5.
Yes.
I know that line.
God.
I know that line
yes.
finished higher than that. You had to have bet it down to 6.5. But you imagine that safety. I mean, Mendoza probably could have slid to the 5 or the 10, and you still would have ran out the clock.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Anything else, Mark, on the way out? Kevin, last word?
Enjoy doubleheader.